if you look at my buggy, I used to ride with a lot of Toyota guys, which were super narrow. So my axles are narrow because some of the trees and stuff, like riding in the woods, you can't fit certain places. So my rear is actually a van axle 14 bolt, which is the narrowest. And then my front 14 bolt, we matched. So we took a dually rear, cut the brakes off, and pressed Dana 60 steering knuckles on the end of it. But the way that we set it, I was able to do it without retubing it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Dirt Drive podcast, your favorite podcast, right, Tom?
Yeah, well, you didn't step in dog shit this time, so it's not the shittiest podcast. So yeah,
the smelliest podcast. We are down here at Culpeper Customs with Hadley.
Yes, sir.
Hadley is doing some pretty cool stuff, and he invited us down here for dinner and beers and to show us the shop and kind of introduce himself and what he's got going on.
Yeah, man. Thank you all for coming.
Hell yeah. So what do you got? What's hanging above us right now?
This is Steve Milano's Hulse Engineering chassis that we put together for Rock Lab Industries. He just came out with a new portal design, him and Scott Chamarco, so we're building a car for him to put together and go out rock crawling.
Putting a car together very fast.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. I mean, we started the build back in September, but it's been a hump here at the end because I was still working my full-time job up until the end of this year. So I've only been 3 weeks solid on this. Other than that, it's been hit or miss between my regular job and this.
Well, I mean, isn't that what you're supposed to do when you go to Hammers? Is wait till the last week to finish your car
and throw stuff together?
Like that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah, we've joined the in crowd as far as that rush and that push to try to get stuff finished.
Yeah.
Have you guys been to Hammers before?
Yeah.
Went.
This will be my 5th or 6th trip out.
Okay, really?
Something like that. Yeah.
So I went back in, I guess it was 2018 or 19. I went with Eric Peterson, and I went out just to pit with him. When Nate Tucker drove out there, and he kind of did the same thing. Slammed the car together, like 45 days. We literally drove it out of the shop into the trailer, drove to California. No shakedown run, nothing, like bolting the hood together. And it was an experience for sure, but I've always wanted to go back and wheel, be able to experience the other side of it. Because I feel like there's two sides of Hammers. Like there's the racing competitive side of it, but there's also, it's like a big wheeling festival.
Then there's Shock at Thunder at night.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we got to experience it, the shootout and all that, and everybody out there, but I've always wanted to go back and wheel. So I'm looking forward to this as much as a break. But I'm
disappointed they're not doing the shootout again this year.
Yeah,
they're doing the X-Rocks.
They're doing X-Rock there this year.
Gold Rush.
Instead of the shootout, they're doing the X-Rock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think would be as good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing qualifying for X-Rock on that Saturday.
Yep.
And then they're going to do, on Monday, they'll do the finals.
And bring your mic up a little bit.
Yep.
There you go.
Off topic from the rock crawling stuff, but
there it is. Yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
The 3-wheeler Grand Prix should be real fun.
They also have the one wheel.
I missed that last year.
What is that?
Oh, the one wheel is new this year.
Yeah.
They're
it's going to be legit.
Like a 3-wheeler, like the old Honda ATC 3-wheelers.
Yeah.
The little
short
tiny
course.
70s and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
At night.
That's awesome.
And they do
Death trap.
they do a circle one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're doing with the one wheel is also a circle this year.
Yeah. The one wheels they're actually doing a full on trail with. And it's it's there's one wheels that you stand on and it's like you lean
like a unicycle.
Not the like skateboard style one, but the one that's like a bicycle style.
Yeah, it's like a unicycle.
It's insane.
Yeah, they're cool.
People race anything.
Yep.
I mean,
look what we're sitting here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've been doing that for like 100-something years now.
Yeah.
If it goes, there's a race.
Yeah, it started with horses, and next thing you knew, there was bicycles and motorcycles, and now it's this.
Yeah.
So how did you stumble into chassis fabrication? Because that's not like the casual guy like, hey, you know what? I'm going to build a Jeep. No, I'm going to.
Stumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started wheeling. I mean, I grew up on a farm riding dirt bikes and that kind of stuff. And I ended up going to college with Nick Gutierrez and GK Fabworks down in Carolina. He was in Pennsylvania at that point. And then Timmy Diekman that owns Liquid Iron Industries, and got to wheeling with those guys. And I was hooked. And I'm like, I got to have one. So I actually started out with a Jeep. I was in a TJ.
Yeah.
And, built it up. I had a Dana 30, put RCVs in it and sleeved it, dude. I was a bad kid right there. And I went out to Gore. That's actually when I met Steve and like Bobby Smith and a bunch of those other guys. And Nick Coupiers was up there and Jason Washburn. And they had full tube buggies. And I had built that thing up, put up like a poison spider cage in it, and they were like, "Okay, you can wheel with us." So I started riding, just totally destroyed that thing. I mean, it was a wreck.
Yeah.
But had a blast, and then I'm out there with these guys bombing hills in tube chassis. I'm like, I gotta have it. So I got in with Jason Washburn and Jeff Sevelin, Mark Evans, some of those guys, and started building tube chassis. And I got really close with Jason Washburn, who actually works at Wide Open Design now, and he showed me how to do tube work and do that. And so me and him got together, and the Jeep was never going to be what I wanted it to be. And so I got some money together. I'm like, I just want to build a bouncer, like a trail bouncer. I want to be able to go out and ride. I want to crawl. I want to hill shoot, be able to do whatever we can. And we kind of got a game plan together and just ground it out like 10 months. I think it's been 11 or 12 years. I think we built it back in like 2013. And he showed me a lot of tube work. And that ended up kind of being his resume for Wide Open Design. He was talking to Adam Woodley at that point and went down there and stayed with them. And so whenever we got done with that buggy, I actually helped him move down there and kind of got him going. And I mean, he's done leaps and bounds after that. I mean, that dude is amazing. Anybody can grind like that. I mean,
yeah. And those
got
chassis
skill.
are gnarly.
Oh yeah. So ever since then, and the thing I loved about it too was it's always been my creative outlet. Is if I can make my mind figure out how to make the tools do what I want, I can build anything.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what's always drawn me to it. And so I've just kind of pushed myself, and really the last like couple years, some people started coming into the shop and seeing what I'm doing. They're like, "Why aren't you doing this full time?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why am I not doing it full time?"
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've been a heavy equipment mechanic for 20 years and turning wrenches, got that background to off-road. And so that's also helped having the mechanical side of it, but the fabrication, just kind of pushing myself. And the last really 2 years, I've dumped a lot of money into tooling and building the shop and getting everything set up to where I can take the jump. And so I just did it this last turn of the year. So.
Well, and it's the way you talk about it. It's really an art form of how you do this stuff. It's it's really like an art more than fabrication. Not, I mean, it's fabrication, but more than like a trade. It's
There's no textbook of like, hey, this is how you build a chassis. Yeah. There's a textbook on cutting and bending tube.
I've never heard.
You still got to put it together.
I've never heard someone describe it as trying to get the tools to do what I see in my head.
I've never heard that either.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So that's what's always drawn it to me, and I just try to push myself, and that's the cool thing to me is like you can sit in a room with 5-6 other guys, everybody can build something a different way. When you get out on the same trail, everything's going to perform differently.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you could have 5 different rigs, that are done different ways, and that's some of the cool stuff, out of the box thinking, and some of the stuff, when you go to the events like King of the Hammers, or you go out to Gore and ride, and you see what other people have done, you're like, well, that's a cool way to do it.
That's a cool way to do it. That's a sketchy way to do it.
I never thought about doing it that way. No, I might, think about doing that someday. Or, so that's a cool side.
And I would even say too, it's a driver thing too, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can build stuff to how you like to drive and what you expect the vehicle to do. Like, our Moab trip, we were basically 4 identical Jeeps, and we all would take different lines, or one of us would take one line and the other guy would take a different line, and then somebody would struggle with the same line. And like, even though they're all the same size tire, the same setups, everybody's a little bit different.
Wheelbase, belly height. Then you got your creature comforts or something specifically purpose built, like a portal buggy. That we're putting together for Steve. That thing's going to be outrageous.
So something I was thinking about earlier is suspension geometry is already a pain in the ass. Does it get harder when you have portals because of the torque that's put on that suspension, or is it pretty much the same design for anti-squat because of the rotation is that coming from a different point in the axle?
It does. You definitely. All the geometry changes a little bit because you got that 5-inch offset where everything's higher, and then your center of wheel is at a different level. And then also your link geometry has to come in, because if you're running rear steer or something like what most portal buggies are, 4-wheel steer or front and rear steer, you got that tire coming in. So then you got to bring your links in. That changes all your geometry. So then the triangulation on the top, there's a lot of factors. And that was the biggest thing with this is, you're dealing with a 16-inch shock. So you got that much travel, portals. Then you got
I keep forgetting to look up
45 degrees of steering,
right,
on the front and rear. So trying to package all that, literally, like when this thing is at full articulation, full steering lock, there's like a 1/4 inch between the shock and the knuckle. It is that tight. And it took me messing with it and changing things. Okay, move this here, move this there, and just try to get dialed in to where I think we got it in the sweet spot to where it ought to do what we want.
Because watching Dirthead Dave do it on the Barbie Jeep on Grind Hard, and then coming to see it in person, I'm like, these parts are so much bigger. The risk is so much higher for parts breaking and like cutting and welding and doing all that stuff. Do you use a web-based template to find area angles, or you just trial by error?
No, to be honest with you, I got a little plastic protractor over there.
Hell yeah.
Kind of old school. And then also, you could do it by eye. So I'll throw it up on there. If I'm building something by hand, I'll use that to dial it in and then throw it on the end mill notcher, get it close, and then you can adjust from there, whatever you need. And then if not, I got the CNC notcher if I'm doing, which really, the more comfortable you get with that, by the time you figure out that, go through the end mill notcher, you can have a tube notched on that.
Yeah.
Just drawing it. They've got that thing set up pretty good, so you can do single tube cuts, or if you're doing a whole assembly, depending on what you're doing, you can rip through it pretty quick.
That's sweet.
It took me a little bit getting used to the plasma notcher, just the way you measure, where you measure like center of tube diameter or inside diameter, outside diameter. You can set it up for how you want it, but there's a lot there. And the thing that's always drawn me to it too is like you're dealing with a Jeep, you're working inside of a chassis with constraints, you got to deal with that. So the cool thing to me is, okay, I need something right here, hang it in the air and build to it. So, and that's where a lot of the tools, cut something out on the table or whatever in 5 minutes and you got it, is really attractive to me. Rather than throwing a kit together. So it's
would you say it's more difficult to make that stuff work on somebody else's chassis versus starting from scratch and being able to kind of plan ahead a little bit?
Definitely. The way different people think about things differently. So the way I might look at something is different from like Hulse Engineering or Jesse Haynes Fab or Wide Open, or whoever's going to be building it. So, and that was something you just got to evolve and work around, overcome and adapt. Like Steve brought me this chassis fully welded out, but it had no internals, nothing. It's just bare.
Right.
So, and Hulse, he does a very good job of putting it together. And giving you a guideline, hey, this needs to go here. This is done a certain way. Some of the things we changed because we didn't care exactly how he did it. And also we had to change because of the portals and the axles and the engine that were, hey, that's not going to work for this. We're going to need to change this. Do this here and there. So, yeah.
So if you're not, I guess it depends on the manufacturer of the chassis. If you're not building a chassis and ordering a chassis, are you able to spec it with the Ecotech and that type of stuff, or is the base spec like a Dana 300 and a LS?
Depends.
For something I'm building?
No, for like something ordered like this.
So I don't know.
He has like, I think he has like 4 or 5 different chassis and they're different sizes, different things.
Okay.
So
most of the stuff's small, like 4-bangers and Turbo 350, Atlas 2 or Dana 300.
Yeah, even smaller, like transmissions and definitely Dana 300s. But it's not what we wanted to put together.
No.
That's kind of becoming the standard for the comp crawl world is 4-cylinder
turbo.
Small displacement with a turbo.
Yeah.
Well, those motors, just like we discussed earlier,
they're making so much
Yeah.
power and such a light, small package. It's like I got a 6.0 LS in my buggy.
Yeah.
And it's like a base hot tune and it's like 375 horse.
Yeah.
Well, that little 4-banger's making 300 horsepower and it's a quarter the size of the weight.
Yeah.
It's 350
It's
pounds.
crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Well, even on a lower scale than that, like I have my daily driver's an 08 Honda Civic that makes 98 horsepower on a good day, And then like my wife's 22 Kia with a turbo 1.6 liter is making 210, and it's like, what? How did we double it with less displacement? Like, technology has come a long way in the motor world. Like, there is a replacement for displacement now.
Yeah, it's turbos.
Turbos are making a big difference.
Turbos and computers.
That's something I've been messing with in my head the other, past couple of years. Like, okay, the LS thing's been done to death.
Yeah.
What can we put in this thing? So I was like, 2JZ would be cool. Rotary would be cool.
But packaging a 2JZ isn't the easiest thing, though.
Long,
it's long.
Yeah, super long. And also, those are making high horsepower, but not high torque, which is like, in the crawler world, that ain't really going to work.
Which is why you got to add big-ass turbos.
If you're hill bombing or something, hill killing, that'd be one thing. But
I want to two JKZ.
Yeah, and I look at like a 4BT, but they're like 800 pounds, and they make 180 horsepower. It's a damn tractor.
But all the torque,
Yeah, and you got to put a ton of money into them to make any power off on them, which it's cool, and that part of that's a cool factor. What you're doing.
That's why LS took off.
That's the hot rodding.
I was gonna say there's a reason why there's an LS and everything.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, there's a reason for it.
The parts are abundant. They're cheap.
Yeah.
You can get it. You get a motor for $1,000 if you blow it up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So,
you said you guys are doing some LS swaps in your shop?
Yeah, we got a Blazer that's got a LQ9 with a cam. Nothing, just K5 Blazer. Nothing.
That's
crazy.
What's in mine.
Yeah.
Is it a standalone harness or?
Yeah, we're doing Hadley Terminator.
Okay.
And then we've got CJ5 that the 401's coming out of. Yeah. That's a cool one because it's at some point in its life it got 9 inches front and rear 401. I want to say it's a T176 right now, and then it's going to get a 5.3 with an NV4 4500. PJ doesn't know this yet. the guy just improved the estimate last week.
Surprise! Here you go.
We did another shop, somewhat local, did a sniper EFI on it. It never ran right. Yeah. We were digging into it. We're pretty sure it's got a wiped cam. Like all the modern flat tappet stuff just wears down.
We did that Terminator on Tommy's buggy.
Yeah.
And it turned out pretty good. Now this buggy here has the FI Tech.
Okay.
And I'm interested to see.
This thing's ridiculous, man.
I'm interested to see how that one runs versus how we did with Tommy's, which different, you know.
Yeah. Anything
4-liter versus a 6.0. But
anything for like a standalone or an old school, like a Phytech or a Holly is the way to go.
Yeah.
Like the first LS swap we did, we tried to thin our own harness and do a tuned factory ECU. I'll never do it again.
So mine, whenever we built mine, I got the engine and everything from Performance Fabrication, I think, out in California.
Okay.
And they did the harness, cut down everything.
Yeah.
I had a liquor trouble out of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you've done it before, I think it's because like the first one we did was a Grand Wagoneer, and like Novak adapters makes a bolt-in kit.
So many people.
But it was COVID, so it was like, oh, just ship the harness, we'll thin it down, ship it, and then ship it back. And I was like, I don't want to wait. And the guy that had worked for me at the time was like, I can do it. And 3 years later, it's it's still not right.
Yeah.
But I tried to thin a harness, and I'm like, I'm just gonna buy one.
Yeah, well,
you can get a standalone harness for so cheap.
Yeah. In the time it took us to thin the harness down and figure everything out, everybody started making thinned harnesses that you could just buy for $300. And I was like, well, shit, that was not a good worthwhile investment. But
that's what I got for the Camaro is just a thinned harness.
That was the thing that was attractive.
$300.
That was the thing that was attractive to me is like, especially when you're building a buggy, like it's a whole entire vehicle that you have to take into consideration everything. It's like, if I can get something that's done, that's one less thing I got to worry about.
Yeah.
The motor's going to run everything.
Well, it's also the pride's not. I mean, the pride's in concealing the wiring and making it look good. Yeah. But the pride's in the tube work and the axles and
it's a business decision.
Yeah.
Why waste 2 weeks wiring a car when you can do it in 3 days?
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's gonna look at the wiring. They're gonna look at the tube work.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
I just realized you're sitting here. Introduce yourself.
I'm Steve Milano from Rock Lab.
I didn't just realize
he's the guy that owns the thing we're talking about.
We introduced Hadley. We didn't introduce you, Steve.
That's all right. Hadley's a really good friend, and I discussed all this prior to this happening. So
we rode together for a lot of years before this happened. So.
Yep. So we've been buddies, riding buddies, trail buddies, everything for a long, long time. And then once this started to pan out, we decided to go ahead and move forward I talked to him, and he, like you said, he wasn't at the position right then work wise to be full time and all that stuff. So I had the potential to get this chassis and get my parts together and bring everything up here and work with him. And so it's been this process has been really good for us, and of course we're on this time frame now. Like I really didn't want to be, but we are.
So you don't just start with the tube chassis. Where did you start?
A long time ago.
In a galaxy far away.
Basically, yeah. I'm old.
The Cove.
When we started wheeling, you had that old orange buggy with the level case with the air shifters and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I don't know what that was your first one.
My first was an old CJ with a small block, and then I was in a TJ for a long time. Actually, an Inca Gold 03 Rubicon. It was nice on a Fab Tech.
Wish you could have that one back, huh?
Yeah, I traded it for this stupid orange buggy, and it had a blown motor in it. And then I rode that thing for a long time, and then went into a Blue Torch buggy, and then I don't know.
You had that Jesse Haynes Fab buggy, and then you were wheeling.
I had the Jesse Haynes, the original like 2-seat one. I had a really nice hot LS in that, and then I drove a single seat comp car on portals for a couple of years from a really good friend of mine. He gave it to me to do comps with, and then I got rid of both of those cars last year, and then started concentrating on putting these new portals together.
Yeah, it's a cool project.
Putting them in with this.
Yeah. What made you go outside the wheeling capabilities of like why build your own portals? What made you want to do that?
I don't know. I mean, I saw deficiencies.
Okay.
I talked, and I had a really close
serviceability.
friend.
Yeah.
And just I think the market is there. I think that this market, the one that I want to be involved in.
I mean, portals become a standard, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it is.
A lot of people are, but then you're getting away from dealing with a spindle and all that stuff.
Yeah,
going to the unit bearing.
Yeah, it's a whole different design. It everything about it is different. But they're unproven. So until they're proven, then we're just gonna.
That's what we'll see at Hammers.
We're gonna hope everything's fine. But
it's beefy stuff. So I can't imagine you'll have issues. But I also didn't build them. So
well, luckily I didn't build them either. I have a very smart friend. Him and I, Scott Tremarco, actually worked together on this. We're about 18 months in right now, and we're getting them under 2 cars and taking both of those cars to California. So.
Well, once you get those proven, are you going to take it to market and sell them retail?
Oh yeah, 100%. The reason we did it is because I also believe that the market that I want to be involved in, which is the extreme hardcore off-road, tube chassis buggies, trail buggies. I think that market is all evolving from standard. Old days it was 60s and 14 bolts all day long.
Yeah.
One ton
Drag
swap everything, LS swap everything. And now it's going back to 4-bangers and fabricated housings and portals.
They're really becoming not too much more costly than a drag axle. I mean, you could sink a pile of money in a drag axle if you do it a certain way. Same thing. I mean,
look at Spider Tracks. Spider Tracks axles to put them under a vehicle. Now, granted, Spider Track stuff is premium. Excellent materials.
Yeah, but you can drop $25,000 on an axle.
Oh,
easy.
And in a blink.
Then the other thing, you go to a portal, you can run a smaller ring gear, like that 9-inch. Yeah. In my buggy, I never think of running anything smaller than a 10, 14 bolt, or I got 14 bolts front and rear on mine
because you get that built-in gear reduction.
Yeah, exactly. So then, and that's what your old buggy was, a Toyota 8.8, wasn't it? The dropout center section.
They were Toyota high pinions.
Oh, high pinion. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the weight difference of what's your buggy weigh?
Yeah, exactly.
with 1 tons and a V8 versus a 4-cylinder and 9 inches.
This weighs what one of the axles weighs.
Yeah,
like 4,500 pounds.
Yeah, that's a full size rig. Really, at the end of the day,
I'm hoping you gotta estimate on weight.
32.
Yeah. I'm hoping under 35.
Yeah, when you're for a set of tons you're at 1,200 pounds for just the axles.
Yeah.
Which Scott weighed his the other night, didn't he? The housing, wasn't it like 150 pounds?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what he got
with the
portals without boxes.
What a stock weight for an LJ is like 4,000.
Just under. It's like 38, I think.
That's light.
Yeah. If this thing's at 3,200 pounds, that's nothing. When you a stock JK,
watch out.
There goes PJ.
You need another beer?
A stock JK is 4,600, and then you put 35s and a skid plate on it. It's a 5, and then the driver makes it over 5,000 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
what these cars can do nowadays,
it's crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It really
But
is.
I also think, like, for what you need to, or what people do spend to make a full size rig do half of what this does, you could build 2 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
$100,000 XJ doesn't, or not XJ, JK doesn't hold a torch to this.
Right.
Yeah. But that $100,000 JK or XJ or whatever can drive down the road.
They should be able to.
Yeah.
You could drive this down the road if you didn't give a shit.
Yeah. The cops were nice.
Yeah.
It'll be a slow drive, but
You know, that's the greatest thing about off-road. You know, everybody has a place. Everybody can fit in. It doesn't matter if you're driving a stock Jeep or if you're driving a full-on portal buggy, whatever.
I do think the market as off-road, even I'll say racing and everything, like the hobby has just gotten so much bigger. The people who love it start going to this quicker, I think. Like where 10 years ago the technology was, you basically topped out at a CJ on 35s with a small block. Like that was it.
Yeah, if I had the budget, I would 100% have one of these.
Yeah.
The only reason I went to the overlanding thing is because the budget.
Yeah.
It's so much more affordable, but like this is the shit I want to do.
Yeah.
I just can't justify
When I was,
sure you can.
When I was getting into it too, that's when
hey Tom, screw you.
Like Tim Cameron with Showtime was out there, and I'm like, dude, 180 degree headers on a 454. That that's my song.
Yeah.
You know? So
now you're putting a 4-cylinder turbo
yeah,
in.
exactly. Yeah, right. That's not
How
mine.
the turns have tabled.
We'll see. I'll be building a new buggy when we come back from Hammers. I'm gonna tear mine down.
Yeah,
and I'll be building a new chassis. Hopefully, it'll be my production chassis I'll be releasing this year.
Yep.
And I got some bugs to work out. I'm sure there's going to be some kinks, and I'll need to be wheeling this thing in R&D before I release it. But I'll be putting that together for myself, taking my powertrain, and I think the 9 inches have kind of grown on me.
I like the 9-inch, man.
And I want to put rear steer, and I really want to do trailing arms, but I think I'm going to build it out regular 4-link and then put 05 Super Duty outers on a 9-inch front and rear steer. Because I was really surprised that we put that 05 Super Duty in the front of Tommy's, and the steering on that thing is stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, it whips right around.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd try that. And then, hey, if Uncle Steve over here wants to give me some portals, I got 9.
I was going to say, portals in the future?
Yeah, I got 9 inches that I can put them on, you know. But yeah, we'll see. So the other thing I'm going to be releasing too is a lower structure that you could take and put underneath a TJ, LJ, whatever, that would have all the 4-link everything. So if somebody wanted to buy it and build it from like the belt line up, all the 4-link suspension geometry would be designed. Or if you wanted to put it underneath like a XJ that's, you know, not a full chassis, or put it up underneath something else, and I'll hopefully be producing that.
Nice. Okay.
Sounds like a good base for a 4600 car.
Yeah. We'll see. For sure, I'll have one kicking around next year. So if you guys want to do something, let's do it.
Okay.
But yeah. So that, like I was telling y'all before, the fixture tables that's going to end up being a jig table for the chassis, and then since it will be jig built, I'll have panel kits, tab kits, link kits.
Yep.
So I can compartmentalize how I'm selling it. So have different levels.
So you're going to have a full like built out fabrication website. Yeah. You come in, hey, I need this, and that, and then you'll just be able to click a button and order them.
So culpepercustoms.com, and that's growing as I build, you know, as I do more. But yeah, that'll be, I don't know if I'm going to be flat packing chassis yet, but my goal right now is to jig build everything, ship it, and then so that way later on, if somebody wanted to do it in steps, you know, they could buy an interior kit or, you know, something like that. Or if you wanted it tabbed out for an LS or Ecotech or Turbo 400 Atlas, I can do all that. I've got mock-up chassis or mock-up parts for all this stuff.
Oh, nice.
Do you have like those? I think they're badass. Like the plastic.
Oh yeah.
The plastic
blocks.
Short blocks that you can throw in there.
I don't have one.
So you just got a metal block you're throwing around.
I got a blown up motor right there that's a block. So it's actually
basically the same thing. It just weighs.
You just still need the crane to pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we have a problem. The motor in the corner there is out of Lamb Chop's truck That one had low oil pressure, so I'm like, hey, give me that thing. I'm going to use it, for a mock-up or whatever.
You need
so
a couple more 5.3s.
yeah. So,
Transmissions.
Yeah.
There's different ones.
The mock-up TH350 we have I'm keeping that. I got its old level case and an Atlas case.
I got a Turbo 350 on the rack if you want one.
Yeah.
It came with an MP205 and I couldn't not take the transmission. I was like, I just need the transfer case, and he's like, you can have the transmission for free. I'm like, I don't want the transmission. I will pay you full price. Just give me the transfer case.
Nope.
Does anybody need a beer?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm
gonna
like,
take it all.
So now it's just sitting on the pallet rack of the shop, and I'm
Dude,
like, I don't know what to do with it.
When you start dealing with people, the amount of stuff you accumulate so quick. It's like we were talking about this shop filling up. Man, if I could have 100 by 100, I'd fill it up eventually. But
I was having that conversation with Abe. Like we were talking about shop spaces, and I was like, dude, I'm in my second shop, which just tripled in size from our old shop, and we filled it in 6 months.
Yeah,
and it's like you can literally never have too much space.
Yep. No, it fills up so quick. But
whatever you're thinking, double it.
Yeah,
and then double it again. And just hope you can find it and you can afford it.
But for me, I mean, right now it's just me working in here, and utilizing the space that I've got. This is more than enough for me right now. And hey, if I outgrow it, then me and the wife talked about moving to a farm and having some more space with tractor trailers coming in and out. But, hey, that's
way down the road.
Dream. Yeah, we'll see.
You sell a few chassis first.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you gonna do like turnkey builds as well? Or do you think you're just going to stick to? So
I've done a couple here in the past years. I'm not against it. I definitely can do it. It is super time consuming. So for right now, I mean, I'm going to stick with what I got. I'm not opposed to doing turnkeys, but I'm going to try and push on the production side for at least get rollers going. You know? If I can get some rollers moving and also get my own stuff out there riding. I need to get it proven first, like what Steve's doing with the boxes. I gotta get a couple buddies. Hey, I'm gonna give you a chassis at the cost of the metal. And you wheel this thing and tell me what you like and what you don't, and let's make some changes and evolution and go from there. So
I mean, a lot of the one-off stuff you've built seems to be doing pretty good.
Yeah, I've had some good luck. I mean, Tommy wheels the crap out of his rig.
All the time.
That thing's done well.
Now that it's wintertime, no, but
he's scared of the winter.
I'm with him. I like winter. I don't do winter wheeling.
That's that no windshield life.
Yeah, not really. Hey, usually we ride Windrock on New Year's, and if it's like below 30 for the high, I'm like, ugh. But heated seats.
Yep.
You got to have that and bundle up. We do it, but usually between New Year's and like April, we're just in the shop.
Hibernate.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is like you go snow wheeling, you break something, and you're wet, and you're cold. And it's just not as much fun.
Yeah.
It was different in the old days when you were in a Jeep. Or you had heat and a windshield.
I have a four-door JK. Like it's not a buggy issue. The problem is it's my idiot friends who like to break shit, and then I'm underneath their Jeep. It waist deep in snow. Like it ruins the whole thing.
That's part of the fun, man.
No,
but that's the thing is it's not
making
fun.
Memories.
Yeah, bad memories. Tim knows we did AOAA one winter, and our buddy used to wheel his Excursion. It's the dumbest thing ever, and we spent 8 hours. Well, we'll start with he idled. The battery was dead when he loaded it on his trailer. So he lives in New Jersey. Yeah. So he loaded it on his trailer and he idled it on the trailer from New Jersey to AOA in Pennsylvania to charge the battery. What he didn't know was he had a transmission leak. So the whole time he's driving, he's pumping the transmission fluid out on his open deck trailer.
Going down the highway. Good move.
Wake up at the Airbnb in the morning, unload everything.
Ooh, it didn't start.
It didn't start. That was the irony. The battery was still dead.
Idled the whole time.
Burned half a tank of fuel.
Yeah.
Realizes he's out of trans fluid. Puts transmission fluid in it on our way to, like, from the Airbnb to the park.
Yeah.
Second trail of the day.
Done.
Just loses the transmission. Yeah. Only had reverse.
Loses forward gears.
Only had reverse. So and then in that process of trying to get him unstuck, he broke something in the front end, which is Dana 50. So
Dana 50.
Just glass front axle and had no steering. So now we're winching him only in reverse out of the trail. It literally burned our entire day.
Well, once we got to the access road, he just drove it in reverse back to the parking lot.
I was going to say, whenever it lost all forward gears, I would have made him reverse his ass all the way back.
No, he did.
To the
It was like 3 miles.
But that's as he was reversing out of the trail is when he broke the front axle and lost steering.
I got
so
you.
it was his whole mess, and it was snowy. So I'm pretty sure that's the trip that ruined snow wheeling.
We couldn't do half the trails we wanted to do because they were ice.
Yeah. And then we couldn't do the other half of the trails we could do because Dan broke down again.
Yeah, but that's a story that you're never going to forget.
Yeah, I know. That's
might
the
have
problem.
sucked forgetting
I want to
it.
forget it.
I do
we need
want
to
to
go back to
do.
AOAA so I can forget it.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
Together.
Yeah, I think like West Coast snowing, we just hit. You get like a foot, 2 feet of snow. You just hit like fire roads and you like bomb around. I think that would be fun.
I would do that. Yeah, I would not do
that Pacific
rock. I would not
Northwest.
do rock trails in deep snow.
Well, we got buddies out in like the Canaan Valley area that they go snow wheeling all the time. Well, they just hit the fire roads.
Yep.
But it's like 2 feet of snow down and they're just ripping around. I'm like, that sounds great. That sounds like so much fun.
How do you guys feel about like the Mammoth like man-made trail versus something that's
It's cool.
out in the woods?
I think it's still cool. Even though it's man-made, it's still...
It's
I
still
haven't
a
been
trail.
up and seen it, but I'm sure it's outrageous.
Yeah, we've talked to Leah about it, and she's like, it's a badass trail.
Yeah.
I mean, boulders the size of this buggy. You're just trying to navigate through.
Yeah.
When they opened that trail, that was what I started like basing the YJ around doing was getting to a point where I could go do that trail.
Yeah.
So one day.
Yeah, I think
one day I'll finish that.
I like personally. I like the smaller stuff. I like a small tire. I got my XJ on 33s, long arms, and leaf springs. And
Sorry to hear.
That's fun. That's fun as shit. Hasn't run in 2 years.
One person in the group.
Yeah, I'm the XJ
Well,
guy.
there's always, I mean, when you get to the point where you got a 2 buggy on 42s or something, you got to push yourself to
You have
make
to
it
find the
hard.
obstacles.
Yeah.
Where it's like some of the funnest memories I have is like small tire stuff
33s.
with your buddies out there just hammering stuff. It's like you're never going to break it, but, but you know, you have a good time out there, and we've always joked about taking the buggies and putting them on small
Street
tires and then take them up in the woods and see what they do. It's like, okay, you get one day on your big tires, one day on
That'd be
whatever
fun
the
as shit.
stock vehicle tire size was. That's what you got to run on your shit. And
What's the
just see what
stock
it does.
vehicle tire size for this?
No, fuck, I know.
42.
42. Hell yeah, bro.
42.
Yeah.
It will never run anything smaller. Only bigger. If Mickey comes out with that 44,
You were talking about
go
the
to the
44s, right?
Yeah, the 54s.
Just get the 54s.
40,
Yeah, but then the-
44, but
then
I
the
mean, I
length-
don't know if it'll work.
The
Was
links
it the-
don't work anymore with the rear
Yeah.
steer, and the front steer. You can't steer it.
Yeah, it's
What was
built
that,
specific.
Yeah.
Baja XS?
It's a Baja Boss.
Boss.
Boss, yeah.
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah, we saw
They're
those
making
at-
it in a 40 currently, and I
Yeah.
think they just released the 42, and they're supposed to do a 44 too. But
Yeah,
but I mean, this is built. The tolerances are too tight, so
Yeah.
it's never going to run anything
you
bigger.
go smaller, but you can't go bigger.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big believer. And it's probably because we all wheel together. But the small tire thing, it's even when I was like into cars, it's I have the philosophy of I'd rather drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
Yeah,
And like I had an old BMW when I lived in Colorado that I could go 4th gear flat on the floor and it would do 90 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that was as fast as it would go. But I could ride any road at 90 miles an hour. Like that's so much more fun than taking a car that can do 200 miles an hour and driving it at 90 miles an hour.
like a stock style vehicle on 35s.
Yeah.
You could spend 8 hours, 9 hours a day hitting trails that challenge you.
Yeah.
When like I don't know, I've never fucked around in these things, but like these, you got to find the trails, and it takes a while to get there.
It's
And
so
then,
much different when you go from like a full body rig and something that actually works with you versus
Yeah.
against you. It's
Yeah.
night and day, and it's like,
But
holy
how?
shit, you got to learn how to redrive again.
Yeah.
Like I would rather take the money and spend it on this than putting like tons and 40s on my JK.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like the JK is going to get
I know a guy
37s.
that builds them.
Weird, really?
What's going on?
What, you got his number?
Yep. Yeah.
You know a bank that loans you money for building them? That's the hard
Yeah.
part.
I need a secured loan for a buggy.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like the upfront
comment.
cost, and then you know,
Should look at a firm.
Secured.
yeah, that, and then like people want to insure their rig, and then you know
Yeah.
VIN numbers and all that. Like, how are you going to do something like that?
Yeah,
Or if
it's-
you're in a race with it, they're not going to touch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
but
I feel like from an insurance standpoint, and I haven't looked into this, so I'm talking out my ass, but like it's got to be like an ATV type situation,
you can
right?
do it. There's definitely
Like
there's
a degree
definitely
value
people that do
ATV
it. Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and that
It's probably not cheap, but
I don't know if that's rooted with the VIN number, like because I know some of the people started tagging their chassis so that people could get And I don't know if they're
That's
titled
true. I
or
guess in like
anything
West
that.
Virginia, you throw headlights and taillights on it, and it's just a side by side.
Yeah, yeah.
There's production tube chassis currently being built with VIN codes, and they're
like
they're
17
wild.
digit VIN
Yeah,
codes.
yeah. Actually,
My
Wide
lawnmower
Open
has a
does.
17
yeah,
digit
wide
one.
open,
Yeah.
wide open, busted knuckle
Yeah.
does VIN codes on theirs. So theirs are a financeable vehicle, I
Wild.
believe. And then I have a friend of mine. I don't know if it's common
didn't know
knowledge
that.
yet, so I'm not going to talk about
5%
that.
for 84 months.
Get a 401k. You don't need that.
Yikes.
You don't need that. Go
I
ahead.
opened my own business. I had a 401k.
Yeah,
I
I'm
had a
I'm
401k.
in that same boat. I ain't got that stuff anymore now. Yeah.
Yeah. I had the benefit of using that during COVID.
Yeah.
Just kidding, but not.
You're not listening to government.
Yeah.
We know you're not.
I used that for personal expenses because I was laid off
Yeah.
from my self-employed job.
So what do you guys think about the new turn for like razor buggy chassis? Everybody
We
seems
saw
like
a badass
everybody
one at
everybody's
PRI.
trying to push. Those razors are so fast.
Yeah.
And dude, they're so expensive. But then I feel like the money you got to put up front to buy them.
It's crazy.
And then they're not built very well. Like
No.
everybody cuts them apart and puts a cage in.
Yeah.
Like if I got one, I would want to buy a wrecked one
Yeah.
that had a good powertrain and build a chassis
Yeah.
for it. But I know like
but-
Jason's building that one to
Here-
race 4900
here's what
series.
I don't get about it, and I was thinking about this after we met the guy at PRI.
Yeah.
There are guys that are doing this
With razors.
with side by side drivetrain. I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the difference between
with
this?
CVTs.
Like that's not a
I don't get
UTV
it.
anymore. It's
Yeah.
a buggy with a UTV motor. Like, and that's fine. Like, I'm not saying you have to use a specific powertrain.
Yeah.
But like, that's still a rock buggy. Like, it's a race car or a rock buggy. It's not a side by side.
I think it depends on the class. Like if we're talking hammer style cars, like
Yeah, if you wanna do it-
you can take a competitive
Yeah.
stock-ish Can-Am
Yeah.
and compete
Well, that-
against
like
the 44
last
cars.
year,
There was
I can't remember the
three-
guy's name, but he was in the running up there with Casey Curry.
Cheney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyle.
yeah,
Cheney,
Kyle
yeah.
Cheney.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was three that finished in the top 10.
Yeah.
Three
Yeah.
UTVs that were like body paneled Can-Am UTVs.
Yeah, but they're also. But
They
that's
got
my
a
point. Is like at
shit
that
ton
point
of
they're
money
just,
in 'em.
they're just buggies that are
Yeah.
painted yellow with Can-Am logos. Like they're not really UTVs anymore.
No.
Like
Well, there's still a UTV drivetrain, which
To a
the
point.
UTV drivetrain, as far as the motor and transmission, all that stuff, I think is good. But once the UTV leaves there and it goes
Yeah.
out to the center sections and stuff like that, that's
Yeah.
where all the
Yeah.
weak links come in.
Well,
my
and
opinion.
UTVs have evolved so much from the CVTs to the geared transmissions
Yeah.
now. It's like we just got a UTV at my firehouse, and I was doing a checkout on it. I'm like, hey, where's the belt? They're like, oh, it's no belt. It's a geared transmission. I'm like, no fucking way.
yeah.
Like it's just the next evolution in them
Yeah.
is to make them IFS IRS cars.
Yeah, yeah, essentially.
Short wheelbase.
I mean, they're
IRS.
as expensive as a car.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah, they're 40,000 plus.
and they're running 37s on those.
Right.
Yeah, it's just
It's
short wheelbase
impressive
and narrow.
what they do with those. It's like, dang.
Oh,
guys.
it's
Power to weight.
crazy.
They've come a long way.
Yeah.
Power to weight
Yeah.
ratio.
Yeah.
That's where they kill it because
Yeah.
they're all sub 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And they're 100 to 150 or.
But it's also why they
200
break as soon as you
horsepower.
roll them over.
Well, that's they have a weak link. There's always that fusible link, but
Yeah.
those KRXs, I believe, are the stoutest ones out there as far as the complete drivetrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see with what like 4400 has become in the last 3 years, like if the UTVs keep up with him or not.
Yeah.
Because that's like they're light.
I think they
and-
will.
and they're good power to weight ratio. But
I think we'll have
I don't
at least
know. I don't know a 4,000 pound tube chassis with 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
like that's
And that's the thing is like
That's another
the side by
level.
sides are cool
Yeah.
and they've come a long way. They're doing some cool stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but you're never going to replace like 800
Yeah.
horsepower
Yeah,
motor thumping up
like
the, you
like
know.
what Horschel and Laser
Yeah.
Nut are doing. Like you
Yeah.
can't.
yeah.
It's
Those
wild.
are they're 1,000 horsepower UTVs.
Yeah.
like that's my point.
They're
is
full,
like
they're full bodied 1,000 horsepower UTVs.
like a tube
Or
chassis
full
like
size.
this. It's fully triangulated.
Yeah.
Even if you go IFS, IRS, you're just building a UTV with a V8.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
V8 and full size components.
Yeah.
trophy truck like the
Yeah.
some of the I seen a trophy truck that was like, oh yeah, for sale $915,000. Who the hell's got money for that?
You ever see
To go out-
the
to
a lot
go
of
out
people.
Yeah.
and bomb across the desert? Like,
Yeah.
man, I want to be in that club.
Yeah, and then race like 2 times a year. I'm like,
Yeah.
how the hell do you justify $1 million purchase to race?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
Once
it's
or
like
twice a year.
Brenthal, and then they like house those cars and prep them and
Yeah.
take them to the
Like,
races.
their
the people
business
just show up
is-
and
Yeah,
get
just
them.
rent. Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, dang, they got it figured out. man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not
impressive.
a bad for them. It's not a bad business move because they rent the car out. Then the the guy who rented the car comes back.
It's
like,
not even
hey, I want to buy that. I want to.
It's not even a rental. They're just the pit crew and the race prep for the people who own the truck. So somebody paid them $1.5 million to build the truck, and then they go, we'll pay you another $50,000 to race the Baja for us. We're just going to show up and drive our truck. Like, we own the truck, we insure the truck. You tow it down to Mexico, show up, prep it, carry all my spares for me, and set up the pit. And I'm gonna drive it.
They're essentially the race package for those people. They're just fitting the bill, Which, I mean, hey, that's cool. Those guys got to figure it out.
Even if I had the money, I would still try and do it myself, but that's just because I'm an idiot.
There's nothing better than, like, on race day, whenever those vehicles are sitting there, like all the 4,400 cars. I mean, granted, the side-by-sides are in there, and they start up the motor, and it's, like, quiet or whatever like that. And then you're right next to the next one that's the 800 horsepower, rowdy-ass motor with the exhaust. And, you know what I mean?
That's a race car.
When you start smelling that race fuel and you're walking through there, it's just automatic.
I did Famous Reading 2 years ago with the Ultra 4 race, and like I just giggled. Like the drivers just I don't think they said driver start your engine, but when everyone fires up their car and lines up, you can't do anything but laugh. And then when the UTVs fire up their engines, you just laugh.
Standing next to Eric Miller's car when he started it up and drove away, I was just like,
Now, how do you guys feel about the experience whenever I had hammers? They leave the starting line and go off. They're out in the desert. You're watching the Megatron in Hammertown or whatever.
That's what I experienced at
versus short course, where you can see everything. What's your draw more? You want to watch the helicopter and see that guy come bombing over that hill, or you want to see short course?
So I experienced that a little bit at Famous Reading, is because it was like a medium course. It was like 13 miles. We were watching on the Megatron, whatever, or the big ass TV, the Jumbotron. Megatron's a transformer. The Jumbotron. I haven't experienced a short course race.
I mean, I do have Crandon on the calendar. Yeah, like I think if we're gonna travel for a race this year, I think we travel to Crandon. This is getting awkward now.
Fine. Double mic'd up on a Tuesday.
I personally, and I think this is because I like the rock stuff, like the long form, like hammers. Even like, I think the hardest thing about getting out to hammers is the fact that I can sit at my computer and watch it at work.
Better coverage,
and you get to see everything.
I feel like it's almost some of the NASCAR races. Like I've been to the NASCAR races, and you're sitting in stands, and sometimes it's hard to follow. It's like there's almost better coverage watching it on a TV or the Jumbotron, where like you can listen to Ian Johnson, those guys talk about it. You know who's what's doing what, because you can't see. Where the short course, I mean, you could follow, but then it's they all get jumbled up in lap traffic. Who's leading? Who's doing what?
Even like a sporting event, like last time you went to a football game or a hockey game, are you watching the field, or are you watching the Jumbotron hanging above the field? I always find myself watching the Jumbotron. So it's the experience of being at the event, but when it actually comes to the event, I think you're watching the racing on your phone.
And I think, I mean, I'll be curious to see how it goes this year, because I think last year was the first year they were trying to do all the live streaming with Starlink and everything, and like that technology has gotten so much better in the year that I really feel like this year the coverage is going to be really good
for KOH.
Like what they're talking about in the pre-race. Like they're going to have like.
I mean, everybody's got high hopes, but
everyone's got high hopes, but all the cars have Starlinks on them now. So you can either tune into.
There actually it's Starlink technology that can be used in motion. They were using the old Starlink stuff that wasn't designed to be used in motion last year. So like that's a huge change.
So if I understood it correctly, the way Dave was talking about it is that the production staff will have access to the racers' live footage
and telemetry,
and telemetry live. So as you're sitting there watching it, you can, hey, here he is, click on the car and see his in-camera.
Now, like over the last couple of years, they've had problems with timing and the boxes and anything. Do you think that Starlink technology is going to help with that tracking, that it would be more accurate?
Did you watch the pre-show that they did last week?
No, I didn't. No.
So they have a whole.
I was working.
Timing. It was 9:00 at night.
We've been in here till midnight every night. Fair enough. Build a car.
Fair enough. I got home just in time to watch it live on YouTube. They have a whole nother race tracking telemetry system that they're putting in every car now.
I feel like they should.
And
I, the past couple of years with like the leader changes, I know like Eric Miller and went through that and all that. It's
and even like
for an entity that big, it's hard to.
Yeah, and I remember. I think we talked. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or if it was after the podcast. We had a conversation with Eric about it. How like he's like, our GPS file that we tracked shows us hitting VCPs that their GPS file says we missed.
Well, yeah. So
and it's like there was no way for them to basically go, hey, like we did
integrate
hit it, and now according to the pre-show, it's a new technology, it's a new company.
We talked to Bailey and Jack about it, how they had the yellow brick, and that technology updated every 90 seconds.
Right.
Well, now
it's real time.
Their new thing is updating
constantly
every 90 times every second.
Yeah. So that's a lot more accurate.
And it's like
I feel like it should be. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere, but now day and age that we're in, like
with all the dramas of the VCPs and like hitting your points is having
there's too much money involved now for them to be half-ass about it.
Now I wonder if has that become a requirement from Ultra 4 that you got to have that.
According to them, they are.
Who foots that bill? I guess the racers have to.
I don't know if I missed it or not, but in the pre-show, it almost sounded like the company who built the technology is essentially loaning it out for the race.
Oh,
like it's like
that's probably cool. Rental.
Like if you're registered, you got to show up when you get tagged.
Race radio.
They're going to install it in your vehicle for you. It's a standalone system, 12 volt, and you're good to go. I don't know if they're keeping it for the season or if they're going to have to give them back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm not completely talking on my ass, but I feel like I paid enough attention to it.
I feel like it comes with the territory of like you can't just have your own GPS system installed ready to go before you get there. Like they kind of take some of that, like not necessarily cheating, but like they want to have their stuff installed so there's no room for error.
And I think
that's good.
I mean, with all racing, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? Like so. I think guys knew that they could take advantage of that system, and it was like, we're going to cut this corner because it's going to catch the VCP
that's what happened
or whatever.
To Kyle Chaney last year.
Yeah.
He ran off course, and that's what because he physically finished first,
right?
But then once they reviewed, they realized that he missed the VCPs and he got denied.
It's adjusted time racing.
But KOH, the evolution of KOH and the introduction of drones and camera drones has been the best thing ever for that race event. Just the best thing ever. Whenever they're following them and ripping through the rock trails or whatever like that, it's just phenomenal.
Well, going back to your question earlier, you were talking about the short course or the full KOH.
Yeah.
From a media standpoint, it's so much cooler to watch someone go through such a vast area versus just something that they built. In like
I could see that
4,000 square foot,
and it's literally like a spectator thing. Like, what's going to draw? It just seemed like a downer to me. Like whenever I was all pumped to get out there, and it's like they took off, and it's like, okay, so what now? You just like sit and wait for them, and you see them come back into pits. They fuel up, do whatever they're going to do, like change a transmission, do whatever, and then they take off up over the hill, and that's it. It's like
right off into the sunset.
And like
it
may not seem like it when you're watching it because they're a quarter mile apart, but the racing is so much better. And if you sit there and follow that full 3-4 hours, you see the time starting to come in, you're like, oh, this is getting tight. And like there's something exciting about the guy who started 50th potentially winning the race.
And with the live telemetry, you'll have so much better understanding of what's going on. It'll all be unofficial until the very end.
Right.
They had that one year where Shannon Campbell was like all the way at the back. He passed like 60 people.
And
he'll get up there. I mean, there are obviously a lot of adjusted time, but it can be done.
Yeah.
That stuff's come a long way.
I'd like to witness the short course and the full long course in person to really make a decision. But I feel like the TV viewing, the streaming viewing of it is probably the best way to do it. Because I mean, you have all the different camera angles opposed to
like when we do, I'm not even gonna say if because it's a when we finally get out there. Like the way I want to consume it is hang out in Hammertown or Lasertown or wherever, and just sit in front of whoever, like whatever live stream on whatever big screen with the group of people live. Like smell the race fuel, watch it on TV. Like
so when I was pitting for George at
Schoolie,
at Famous Reading, is we were in the pit watching it on our phones, so we could know what was going on. And then when he got back, we got to work. So I like when I'm there. I know it's probably a lot to ask, but I like to have a job. Like, so instead of just watching, like, I want someone to pull into a pit and give me give me something to do. And if I'm doing something, I want to be involved in it instead of just witnessing it. Yeah. So I think that's a benefit of being in person is you get to help out and like actually pit for someone.
There's definitely no substitute to being there for sure. Yeah. But, I mean, and that would be ideal, like you were saying, watching it and then being able to see the updates on stuff. So.
Well, and that's like why Crandon's high on my list, because that's like similar thing. It's a 3-day. It's tons of racing. It's not just the one. Like you're not going out there to watch them go in a circle for 2 hours. Yeah. You know, there's 15 other races going on that weekend.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, they say that whole complex is wild.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been up there or not, but
no, not to Crandon. No.
Well, just like Disney Oklahoma is supposed to be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You got plans to race the chassis, or are you sticking with trail
right
car
now,
type stuff?
Just wreck wheeling. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what this does with like the X-Rock stuff and what kind of comes my way. I'm kind of going with the flow. I'm hopeful, to obviously do stuff with the off-roading crew and the four-wheel drive stuff. I built a drag truck this last year for my buddy Sean Keith. It was a 66 C10.
I think that was in here last time we were down here, wasn't it?
We backed half.
Is that street or dirt drag?
That's straight.
Okay.
Street. I guess he was saying.
Okay. Yeah.
But pavement. But we put a 1100 horse, 600 cubic inch big block in that, and he's gonna be. I think it's set up for nitrous and stuff. Power glide, narrow 9-inch in the rear, and I set up all the suspension on that. Did the cage, frame tie-ins, all that stuff. Yeah, we'll see. He's supposed to have that together. He's going to bring it back to me in the spring to do some parachute mounting, and then he should be racing it this year. So nice. I'm hopeful to get some stuff from the drag racing crowd too. And
is he like doing like drag and drive type stuff with it, or is it just
drag? He's racing 590 Outlaw. Summer Duck, I think, is what his main class is.
Okay.
So
we were talking about that. I don't know if we were talking about it on air, but at PRI is how the off-road suspension geometry has made its way to the drag stuff.
Yeah.
So you're using your off-road prowess when you're setting up these drag cars.
There was a lot of similarity. That was the first drag vehicle that I really messed with, and there's a lot of similarities, a lot of differences. But that one was more straight 4-link with a Y-link on the top. Mm-hmm. But then the anti, it's like 150% anti-squat.
Yeah.
Whenever you do, and there's so much to that, and it's smart. You're essentially using that back tire as a lever to raise that hole to put down pressure on it, and just like the 4-link on the buggies, where that will either cause the chassis to raise up or dig in, whenever they take off, and then you're biased when you're braking and all that kind of stuff. So
I remember
there's a lot to it.
I think it was an episode of Faster with Finnegan that they did back on Motor Trend a couple years ago, where they were like putting in an adjustable 4-link in a car, and they're like geeking out about the adjustability. I'm like, I literally have that kit bolt in for a JK. Like I installed 6 of them last week. Like, and they're like, "Oh my god, look how beefy these Heims are." And they're like 3/4 inch. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, beefy." Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw 1.25 Heim, I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like you were doing with the big input shaft
gears,
on that next to a can. I'm like, "Dude, this thing's massive."
Yeah,
that's just the norm now. That's what you run, unless it's a smaller crawler.
Yeah.
I think we're running 7/8 on this, so
all around.
It should be fine.
Yeah,
it'll be a lightweight buggy. So it should.
You got to cut weight somewhere.
Yeah,
that's one of them.
Exactly.
Yeah, Heims are cheap to break versus important things like axles and.
What's your go-to?
They're cheap to service. They're very expensive to break, because when they break, you're in a bad spot.
Yeah.
What's your go-to fusible link if you're building something? Something has to break. What are you building to break?
Driveshaft.
Yeah, Driveshaft.
You know how hard that is to explain to people who don't know that?
Driveshaft U-joint. That's even better. Yeah. Just the U-joint.
Like I'll talk people out of doing like 1450s on their Gladiators, and they're like, "Ooh, I want a beefy driveshaft." Why? You want to explode your differential?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. What? Like, what would you rather replace? A $25 1350 U-joint?
And it takes a lot of time. Like it took me a while with my buggy. Like I ripped the whole rear end out of it. I blew ringers up, broke axles, all this. Get it to the point. And that was one of my biggest goals when I got it. Like, I want to be able to load something up on Friday, take it, beat on it all weekend, do whatever I want to do, and load it up on a trailer, take it home and wash it.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a lot of weak links, and you're going down the line trying to figure out all that stuff. So, and that's really like, when you're building something, it's like, okay, think about everything.
Yep.
We did 1410. You joined. He's got 1350s on one side and 1410s on the other. So, and then 1550s in the axles.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of beef there. So it's like, it ought to hold up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh yeah. For this application, it'll work. So, I mean, what are you trying to run RPM wise? Like maybe half throttle.
Yeah, I mean,
in most cases,
it's just all super slow crawl.
Idle.
Yeah, I mean, the thing it goes 3 miles per hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. But it climbs and does the gnarliest stuff.
The other thing I'm going to do with my new buggy with the fabricated housings, I like that because you can weld on them without having to preheat the cast and all that. But I want to buy an off-the-shelf set of Super Duty axles because I've got that custom 14 bolt in mine. I got RCVs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like I broke an axle. It took me 4 months one year to get. Like I missed all summer wheeling season because I couldn't get an because of custom axle shaft. And it is what it is. But if you can, I feel like if you can, and I think Busted Knuckles done this a bunch, and like East Coast and that. If you could have something off the shelf where you can build the housing to fit that, I feel like you're so much more better off than having to wait on machining.
That's what Robert Keller was saying. Built like an anvil, but that anvil you can still go to Advanced Auto Parts and order a part that'll be here tomorrow.
And that was when we were building Tommy's buggy too. We were talking about like cooling system. Like, dude, Jeep spent a lot of money engineering that cooling system to make it work, and you can go into AutoZone and get a freaking radiator if you need one.
Yep.
I was like, I gotta, call somebody and wait, a couple weeks. Griffin or whoever making it's $1,000. How long did it take to get your radiator?
I know.
What was it, a month and a half? Now it's beautiful when it showed up. It's like,
don't shove a stick through it.
I was saying right until that stick goes right through it.
$1,000 in 2 months of my life.
When you're talking about a $25,000 axle, it's like, to somebody that doesn't understand, it's like, holy shit. Like, you're never going to spend that money. But when you're driving across the country to go wheeling, are you really going to not spend $5,000 to potentially break something as soon as you show up? And then it's like, I'm out of, how much money you spend driving out there, getting there, going to Moab, and then it's like, what's $5,000 in the end of the day? Like, let's do it. Enjoy it, beat on it, and load it up on a trailer. It's like that's it for me.
But to have the ability of your spare parts to get you off the trail be stock parts, opposed to have to be a specialty ordered axle shaft.
Buying 2 of everything, literally doubling
having
the
spares.
cost. Yeah.
Well, that's like and Steve can tell you, like, I break an RCV, I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to have a custom link
you can't
RCV.
you can't get an off the shelf RCV axle in a month.
You're done.
No. That's another sore spot.
I broke breaking stars. I broke the stars a couple of times, inner outers. I mean, and so and we'll see. But I was running all Dana 60 outers, like Chevy size Dana 60, which is 1480. So hopefully going to the 1550 stuff will hold up a little bit better. And then the 50 degrees of steering is just. That's ridiculous. That draw to me. Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be a real tight circle.
Yeah, because Hadley likes spools. He doesn't want a Detroit. He doesn't want an ARB.
I mean, to me, it's
too many moving parts.
Well, you think of like ARB, a selectable for a 14 bolt. It's like, what, $1,400?
Yeah.
You could buy a spool for like $180, and the thing's solid, and I've never broke one.
You see those 9s over there?
Yeah.
I mean, those things were like, I don't know, $1,300 a piece. They're aluminum. They're beautiful, brand new, all set up from Quick Performance. You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's always, and then when you get into a crawler, we're doing cutting brakes, and you're cutting tight corners. Like, you got to kind of have a selectable. But for me, it's like, it's on a trailer. It's going off the trailer right into a trail. I want all 4 wheels to turn all the time. Like, who cares?
It also makes it stupid simple. I don't have to think about what it's doing. It just does it.
Keep it simple.
I have spools for the tons for the YJ. And it was one of those things where that build just evolved into, let me fix the motor to, I guess I'm 4-linking, and now I'm trying to find ORIs. Like, exactly.
All right, you did ORIs in your last one, didn't you? Dude, that's
are you going to run air shocks? You run air shocks,
16-inch wrap flaps.
2.5s.
These? Yeah. 16,
so that's a different world for me too. There's a lot of tuning and like oil weights and all that. See, I always ran coilovers, dual-rated coilover, dual-rated triple-weight coilovers. I mean, there's a lot of tuning there too.
I get the draw to the ORIs and the air shocks. Like, as I dig into it, like, shock tuning has been like a rabbit hole I went down this year, and like I'm for whatever reason, still going down it.
And still going down it.
Still going down it.
it.
And at this point, I've settled on, coilovers are just not worth the headache.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely benefit to them, but, like, if you're going to put that much effort into tuning a coilover, you can tune an ORI or an air shock and get just as good, if not better, for this kind of application. Like,
well, now bypasses and stuff have come so far. Like people running coil carriers with a bypass and all that. But there's definitely. Have you ever seen an ORI opened up?
Yeah.
Oh man, there's like all those tubes and everything going back and forth. There's a lot going on there.
See, part of my shock tuning rabbit hole is I haven't heard back yet, but I did reach out to them because there is not a Virginia service center for ORI, and like we started talking to Bill Steen. I've got Bill Stein.
ORI's down in Georgia.
You know him?
I know Bill.
Kind of actually,
kind of we do.
It's. And I don't know how caught up on the podcast you are, but we had Brian McCroskey, who's like one of the senior director. Special projects manager. Yeah. He's one of the higher up North American Bill Stein out in Mooresville.
Right.
We met him at PRI. He was on the podcast and just opened up that conversation with them to do stuff. And Dobinson's, who does a lot of overlanding Toyota stuff, they're in their U.S. base is Miami. We're scheduled to go down there and do their class on tuning and rebuilding their shocks, and cool. Nobody around here is doing shock work. So I'm like, why not? Right. I'm the kind of person that I want to learn new stuff. I draw my line at window tinting and automatic transmissions. I won't touch either of those. But
there's definitely certain things that you just pay somebody else to do. But there's also something to be said for being a student of your own craft. And evolving what you're doing and you know, coming with the times. And
I've accepted the fact that from a business standpoint, I'll do this in my garage at some point in my life, but I'm not going to get into tube chassis from a shop standpoint. But from a shock tuning standpoint, you're talking a workbench, a vise, and a handful of O-rings. There's not a lot of tools involved with it. It's knowledge and practice. And that's I went down an air shock ORI rabbit hole watching the Grindhard video, and was like, I wonder if I can run air shocks on the YJ. Nope. Guess I'm going to triple the price and go to ORIs.
And we've also got them in with carbon shocks now too.
Oh, that's right. That's right, man. With Tweety.
Have you ever seen the ORI has that? It's almost like a sway away canister where it links them together.
Yep.
We tried to get some of those for this buggy, and we had a hell of a time.
They're available now.
I've never seen anybody have them.
From what I can tell, it seems like the inventory's there.
Yeah.
You're still paying it's still $1,500 a corner.
I wonder if they work.
Well, no, this leveling system where it links them both together. Yeah. But that's relatively new. And
does that
tell them about the one on Melchner's car?
So to bring it back to
hydraulic shocks.
Jesse's hydraulic shocks.
Mm-hmm.
You ever seen or know anything about them?
I mean, I've seen videos with them in it, but
the valve.
But it's on a valve and it's just ran off the power steering.
He's got them tied into the reservoirs, so if you get into a tight corner, you can hit the bump it.
I saw that.
So he's working them like an air shock.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, it's more like a hydraulic,
a hydraulic shock.
Right. I mean, you can do the same thing with air shocks with an air compressor.
You had it linked up as a constant.
Yeah, I was watching the Larry Chen video
with laser nut and a cow crawler.
I did just watch that one.
Yeah, it was good. I'm like, what the hell is this freaking
Cody's car?
Yeah, the thing is, and that's the same. I went down that same rabbit hole and was just like, oh man, this is new.
I love the ORIs for the cleanliness factor.
Yeah.
That's what I hate about coilovers is that you need a coilover, you need a bump stop, then you need a limit strap, and you need this, and you need a sway bar, and I'm like, dude, just make the thing that works.
I think when you're going 120 miles an hour through the desert,
I know
that it makes all that.
That's a completely different animal.
Yeah, but that's the thing about off-road, and it's everybody has their own little niche. Me, I have no desire to go fast. You know what I mean?
Grandpa.
5 miles per hour. I'm old. That's it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
But I'll fucking climb a nasty ass rock and do a fun trail and all that shit. That's what piques my interest the most.
Yeah, and I think from a go fast standpoint,
I've got the go fast gene, but I've also got the go slow gene.
The go fast gene takes a lot of dough.
Yeah,
a lot of dough.
I love you. You do not have the go fast gene because
is he a bad driver?
I just bought a Lexus.
Does he need to know?
Yeah, I just bought a Lexus. That's fair.
It's not that he's a bad driver.
It's the
perspective thing. Like I've done enough road course and autocross stuff where like the go fast stuff doesn't freak me out, but like it is also like there's a cutoff point of like even where I go with go fast stuff, and like I have one of my good friends from growing up, his pseudo uncle was a race instructor for the Porsche factory road racing team, SCCA stuff, and like did a track day with him, and it was like, come on, Scott, get me in the race program. He's like, you're too old. I was 19. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm too old? He goes, you're too old, you're too smart, you've driven on a highway. And I was like, yeah, but I can go fast. He goes, trust me, you can't go fast. And then like comparing like my track day times to other people's times, he's like, you're 10 seconds slower than the 14-year-old kid that doesn't have a driver's license because he doesn't know any better.
Where'd you do track day at?
When I used to live in New Jersey, like New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Isn't there one around here somewhere?
Summit Point is up in West Virginia. And then VIR is Richmond.
That's the big one that I was thinking
you would
about.
know VIR down here.
VIR is in Danville.
Richmond area.
Yeah.
It's like west. Isn't it west?
It's like 2 hours south of Richmond.
Yeah.
I think it's Richmond.
So then you have
it's south of Frederick.
Danville's like way west of Richmond.
You have
too.
Old Dominion, which is close to Richmond.
That's relatively new.
Yeah, that's relatively new. They got an 8th mile. They've got a circle, and they've got a road course.
But I think that's what like. Just being in the off-road world, like I can combine a little bit of that go fast with the rock stuff, and that's. I'm not 4,400 fast. I'm not desert.
I'll never be that fast.
Yeah, I'm not 100.
Everybody that goes to King and Hammers thinks they have a race car. It doesn't matter what they're in.
100%.
They're all trying to go down these roads with the washboards out and all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, we all have like 2 inches of travel in our shocks. And I'm not trying to bomb down this trail at 20 miles an hour. You know what I mean?
Last time we had all the boys out, we thought we had race cars.
Yeah.
Him and I did like
We're going
13
back to that
miles an
everything's a race car
hour
thing.
on an access road at the Cove and thought we were ready for the Baja 500. And in the process, he ripped a shock out of the back of his XJ.
And you destroyed the ZJ.
I did destroy well, that was later on that day, but yeah.
That's something I had to get used to with your cars because there's no up travel. Yeah, there's zero up travel because I normally set them right in the middle.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you also got 5 inches more ground clearance, so then that bumps you up. But but if you look at the shock mounts on those, they're mounted down on the knuckle, down low,
where your typical center line would be.
It's it's down low.
Is that there's everything's weird about this
that's
stuff.
what really was
is
a
that
struggle
for travel. Like why would you want to mount it
ride height?
It's for travel within the whole suspension itself.
Okay.
So you maximize the length on your shock and then you mount it as low as possible, so therefore you have the most
so
travel.
instead of having a big
sense.
hoop going up, you're splitting the difference coming down.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I would have thought, like from a clearance standpoint, that gets hairy going low.
It was, and that was
finding the right spot for it.
That was the thing that was a struggle. Is like you're articulating that much. You got both those links, then your steering coming around, and it's mounted right there at the base.
Are you running it way like outboard?
It is
close to the tire.
Outboard, yeah. But the nice thing too is like it's underneath the hood. On the roof,
right?
It's underneath the hood line.
Yeah, no more days of the shocks like protruding
up through the front.
Right.
Yeah,
big hideous shock hoops.
Yeah.
This could be an 8-hour episode.
Oh yeah. So you're really on like the cutting edge of the slow crawling stuff. Is like this thing will be like a cutting edge
comp crawler.
Yeah, I mean, what piques my interest the most is the most extreme.
Hold your mic up a little bit more.
The most extreme style of rock crawling. That's what interests me the most, and that's obviously where I wanted to be at. So.
Yeah. It might be like a mix of like a comp trail buggy, or because it is a 2-seater. You think like comp buggy, single seater. But the cool thing with this one, we made the seats are removable, like quick removable. You just pull a pin and they come out. But then you could put a pack out in there. And
that's cool.
Clip it into the same seat, and then you have a pack out in your cooler.
I saw you post that the other day. Yeah.
So it clips right into where the seat is. So then it kind of moves a little bit of weight up forward.
Yeah.
There's a pack out mount in the back here, but then you can have your toolbox and your cooler right there.
What can't Milwaukee do?
Yeah. So we talked to Eric about that. Is where do you fall on the single seat versus dual seat? I think I'm always single seat because experiencing it with your buddy. Nobody's going to believe your story unless someone's there with you.
2-seater.
As far as racing,
just riding in general. Like if you're building a tube chassis buggy.
Yeah, I'm probably like this next buggy for me will be a 2-seater, but my son's 3, so as he comes up, I'm going to have a 3-seater, at least 3 or 4-seater. So and I have a chassis drawn up for that too. So packaging that, it'll fit like a 40-inch PRP bench in the back. So we'll see how that turns out as I go. But yeah, you got to have people with. I mean, Steve doesn't care. He's old. He just wants to ride. You know. And you're never going out by yourself.
Yeah.
You know. But I think as far as the racing goes, and it may have been a podcast. The orange Icon car. I can't remember the fella's name.
Paul Horschel.
Yeah.
Isn't his Icon too? I thought he had Icon on the side of his car.
No, it wasn't Paul Horschel. There's another guy. He was up in Alaska, like a guide. He's on Talent Tank, and he was talking about he was always single seater because he wanted to push as hard as he could push during the race, and not have to worry about hurting somebody else.
Okay.
And then he built a 2-seater, ended up crashing, and the dude broke his back.
Oh, jeez.
Oof.
And he went back to a single seater.
Fair.
But
I mean, that's a fair point to look.
Yeah. From that perspective, I get, but
yeah,
I don't know.
But on a rec wheeler, you got to have people with you.
Yeah.
And it's all just people break something or go, you got to hop in with your buddy and ride and see stuff. You're always going.
And
out
we're always breaking stuff.
Yeah.
It's you can always ride on somebody's lap if you have to.
We've done that before too. And the Comanche.
Yeah, 6 people.
My wife is terrified, so she does. She loves to go camping and to wheeling trips and all that stuff.
Yeah, same boat.
But she's very happy to just stay at camp and chill out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? She's terrified inside of there.
Yeah, she gets out and walks. She's like, have fun on this obstacle. I'll meet you at the bottom with the dogs.
I was watching Shannon Campbell's Hammers Prep YouTube videos this morning, and Jess used to co-drive for him, all this other stuff. And I said to her, I was like, if we get into racing, would you co-drive with me? She goes, like, in the truck on the way there? I'm like, no, like co-driver, like racing. She goes, no, not at all. I was like,
when me and my wife started dating, I was into wheeling and stuff. She started going. She's gotten to where she loves it more than I do sometimes. And she's a trooper, man. We've been. I mean, I've rolled it with her in there. And now it's like, okay, we got a 3-year-old son. At what point, at what age can I put him in? And also, like, when we've taken him, like, Good Evening Ranch and rode him around, like, easy trails and stuff, he loves it. While he wants to be on the 4-wheeler and the buggies, all that stuff. At what point it's like, okay, do I actually put him in a buggy and take him out on the trails? And then I don't want to push, because I can remember Greg Hicks talking about it. He's like, I did too much with my kids too soon, and now they hate it because they're scared. So it's like, okay, you can't do the most extreme stuff right off the bat. But
break them in slow.
Big thanks to my wife too for all the support. I mean, all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I wanted to do something, like when I want to build my buggy or I want to do this, I'm like, hey, I think I want to do this. Like, what he's like, well, why don't you? Like, why don't I? Let's fucking do this. And she's been a trooper through all this stuff, man. So so big props to her for standing behind everything and let me give it a shot. So
oh yeah, I get that.
You got to have the right person to run your own business to stand behind you, man. You can't. Yeah, so they got to understand too.
Yeah, I remember having that conversation with my wife of like, hey, I want to quit my job and do this full time, and she was like, yeah, but we have a mortgage, and I was like, I know. Yeah. I was like, but we don't have a kid yet, and we're getting married in 3 months. Like, if I'm gonna quit my job, now's the time. And she was like, all right. And 5 years later, we got the kid now, and it's still like, was this the right idea? But yeah, I mean, it's I would say the hardest job of a business owner is the spouse. Like that's
balancing, and that right now I'm in like zero balance because I'm in go mode to try and get this thing done. Hopefully once I come back from Hammers I can kind of get in more of a rhythm. But she's known me long enough now and understands that I don't necessarily make drastic decisions. So if I come to her and I'm like, hey, I think I want to do this, she understands, like,
you thought through it.
I've done the research and figured out, hey, I can't afford this or I can't afford this. And I'm like, okay, cool, do it.
I think that was the hardest hurdle for us, was for her to realize, like, I do have an idea of what I'm doing and I have put thought into this. Like, I'm not winging it. Like, there are plenty of days I'm winging it, but then, like, some of the bigger decisions I'm not. So
gotta have that person.
Absolutely.
If it's your spouse, they have to be two people as a team. That's where it works. That's where everything can start working.
So coming back, you said if you're camping or doing whatever, do you do a lot of camping? Or since you're an old guy, you do a lot of hoteling?
No. I'm a camper.
Mobile hotel.
No,
Steve
I
has
don't
a
like
house
to
on
fly.
wheels.
I
have a house on wheels.
Yeah.
I heard something about
my vacation home.
Okay.
There was a Class A.
There's a damn
there.
bus.
That's not camping. That's a hotel on wheels.
Yeah, but that's my wife stays at the camper. Like my RV has a bath and a half and a queen size bed and 4 TVs and everything else.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah, we're rolling down the road.
He was out. He had it down here. We stayed because we had some people in the house. He came and pulled down here and stayed in his camper and stuff. Scott was here. They were staying out there. And it's like, you got a TV on the side? He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I got TVs I don't even fucking watch.
Yep.
Like one guy riding around in a damn bus. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of camping?
So I've got that. I got a 44-foot toy hauler.
Okay.
And
It's got a living space in it?
yeah, so it's 22-foot living quarters and then 22-foot enclosed garage. And that thing's been great. I actually bought that from Eric Peterson, who I went to Hammers with. And it's been a game changer for sure. But it's so freaking big.
Yeah.
It's
44 is huge.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to be selling that this spring if anybody's interested. But I bought a 20-foot open deck, and then I'm going to get like a small 1-ton truck camper.
Yeah.
Like an RV. I feel like that'll get a whole lot more utilized.
Like a slide-in camper?
No,
or
like a chassis, like a full camper. Because I'm going to keep my dually for my work truck and running around and stuff. But I feel like, my son's getting older. I'd like to take him out west and see Yellowstone and all that stuff. Or all my family's down in South Carolina, so we could hop in that thing and ride down there. And
yeah, it's a lot easier with a short trailer.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot more maneuverable. Like getting in and out of some of these parks, man. You're dragging tail, or like I don't know how the hell you get that thing.
It's amazing.
Some of the stuff you do, I'm like, dude, I wouldn't be caught doing that with the camper that nice. But
amazing.
I remember that we had to change that one airbag up at Chaos.
Oh yeah, that was the old. That was the old coach.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, you're pretty much stuck in the truck stops and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
truck stops and Walmart parking lots.
Yeah. So we'll see. For now, I'm just gonna I'll crash with Steve or somebody.
Yep.
So once I sell that thing and. But yeah, that's my end game is a camper and an open deck.
How many cars are you guys bringing out to California to the lake bed? You bring in just 2 cars?
Mm-hmm.
2 and then some dirt bikes.
Yeah, some dirt bikes.
4
just
dirt
to rip
bikes.
around.
Yeah.
Well, no, a friend of mine, he's
shipping
flying out
for somebody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So you'll bring your camper and then the dually.
No, he's got a trailer behind
my
him.
RV will pull.
Yeah.
Oh, 2
24-foot enclosed
80-foot
trailer.
long.
God.
Yeah. No, that is
Damn.
nothing. I pulled.
God.
Remember, it's an RV. It's not subject to DOT regulations.
Yeah.
I pulled a triple axle bumper pull 42-foot trailer behind a 43-foot RV, 85-foot long.
Where do you park that?
I didn't park. I just
Space.
drove to Texas. Drove to Texas, camped all weekend, and then drove home.
Plenty of places to park in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, what's the fuel mileage on that?
We don't talk about that.
-3.
It's negligible.
It's fun. It's miles per gallon.
That's my vacation
Gallons per
home.
mile.
My
That's something
vacation
I've
home
come-
on wheels.
Yeah, I've come to realize when you're towing something, you can't care about mileage.
Yeah.
You're just getting there.
Yep. So that's why they put a 150-gallon fuel cell in there. You just keep driving.
And you're still stopping every 300 miles.
No.
What's that, a 9-liter in that?
That's
The Cummins?
8.9.
8.9.
No, it's big boy.
Not big enough.
Not yet.
I want to go 80 everywhere, up hills and down.
So if since you're going out for Hammers, are you going 40 or 70?
40.
40. You
I
got to
will
go
never
40.
do 70 again, ever,
Through the winter or just at all?
At all. That 23-mile up the Rockies, no chance.
Ask PJ's LJ about that.
No way, no more.
Yikes.
That was when we went to Moab, it was 3 JKs in his LJ. Everybody had 35-inch tires. My JK with Tim and I in it,
Exhausted.
parts, tools, and all of our stuff for the week. That thing ran 235 for 40 straight hours across the country.
235 degrees.
Yep.
Oof.
It
Good for you, Jeep.
Yeah.
Well, and then it boiled over the next day on the first trail.
So that V6, what was that?
It's a 3.6
Strikes
liter.
at
Yeah,
3.6.
it's a 3.6.
Yeah.
But
It's a minivan motor, ain't it?
Yeah, it is.
Hell yeah,
it's
it
a
is.
Pentastar. But it was funny
You have
because
a 4.0 in that LJ, though,
he's
right?
at 4.0, but he's not geared.
Yep.
So
35s in the stock gears,
I'm-
30 and
yeah.
44.
I'm 488s and climbing the mountains through Colorado. Trevor was driving at the time.
You
We're all-
had temperature issues. I had transmission issues.
Yeah. So
it just wouldn't go up the hill.
Automatic?
Yeah. Auto tragic.
I lived in Colorado, so I had done that Eisenhower Pass multiple times and knew. I was like, there's not a chance in hell I'm doing more than 40 miles an hour through this. And I put it in third gear, I set the cruise control, and I just crawled up the hill. Sure enough, 30 seconds later, in second gear is an LJ just bombing up the mountain.
3,000 RPMs.
I'm on the radio
We're gonna
like,
do this.
this goes on for 15 miles. You're not going to make it.
I got to have the
And
momentum.
he's like, I need the momentum. And sure enough,
Nope.
5 miles later, we all just passed him as he's 15
Gotta do
miles an
something.
hour. And I'm like,
I crested that hill at 25 miles an hour
Yeah.
in second gear.
honestly,
Towing
Well, that
16,000
with my fuel pump
pounds.
going bad.
yeah, that wasn't helping you.
The whole way there, it was like
Didn't
sputtering.
it take a shit on the way back?
Yeah.
And the alternator.
Yeah.
All right.
It's fun.
New parts, yeah.
The as hard as the up is, the down is so much worse.
Yeah.
Like when I lived out there, I was a mechanic for a car museum, and we used to tow museum cars from Grand Junction basically to Denver for shows. And like I was a 21-year-old kid with a 30-foot enclosed trailer with $500,000 car in the back coming down that mountain.
Oof.
And like even my wife and I went out. We just rented a Wrangler and just drove around Colorado. And even coming down the mountain in the rental car, I was like 40 miles an hour, foot on the brake. I'm like, I'm not fucking with these mountains. And people are passing you doing
I was
90 down the hill. I'm like, what is wrong with it? It's just not worth it.
I was just so delirious, I don't remember how.
You know, at that point, we were up for 30 something hours.
You know what they say? What you go up that mountain is what
Yeah.
you need to go up down that
Yeah.
mountain.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in the RV world or whatever like that, but I'm like, whenever I went up that mountain, I was dying, and I fucking crested at the top, and I wasn't paying attention. Next thing you know, I'm doing like 75, trying to slow it down. I get down to the bottom,
Yep.
and I know the brakes are smoking hot.
Yeah.
Got out, and I have like a little
Yeah, engine brake on it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
but it ain't enough.
It's not.
No,
not with that
in
much
the
weight
RV.
behind you.
I need a better. It's a transmission thing.
That's
Different
one thing I
episode.
like. My Dodge, I have a,
Yeah, it says Jake on it, doesn't it?
it has an engine brake, but then I'm also 6-speed manual. So it
Oh,
yeah,
drags.
you
hell
just
yeah.
drop in a gear.
And it's
Yep.
like, that's it for me, man.
So I had when I was working at the ambulance company, we had like an 03 Cummins that had a Jake on it. Dude, a Jake on a Cummins was it was so sweet.
It's like the only, it's the only reason to
in the
get a
back, you're
24
hitting the
valve.
Jake. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, that thing for towing, that thing's good. And that everybody's like, oh, why don't you get the ASIN? And I'm like, I want to be able to tell it what to do and
Yeah.
make it stay in that
Yeah.
gear and do what
Yeah.
I want, you know.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
It's been great. That was the last year they made the manual.
Yeah, it's the truck to have.
Yeah.
Absolutely the truck to have.
What did
It's
people?
like my wife and I just went to Colorado to see her parents in Colorado Springs. So every time we go there, I try to go to Pikes Peak as much as possible. So this is my second
Trying
time
to
going
race.
there. So we took her Mazda all the way out there, and hers
Some Miata?
has a no
With an
CX-5.
LS.
Hers has like a 5 or 6 speed automatic. So I was using the manual mode the whole way down. You reach the midway point where the store is, and the guy's like, your brakes are really hot. You got to stop. I'm like, I'm good. This is just a sales ploy, dude. I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this liability's a thing.
Yeah.
Sore torch
I
straps.
googled how hot do brakes get before they fail on a
Yeah.
big rig truck or whatever like that. Because I was out there temp gunning mine, and they were like 650
Well,
degrees, and
yeah.
I'm like meltdown mode in my head. But then I googled, and they're like, oh, they can go up to
1200,
1,000.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I got plenty to go.
Yeah, I've tested some fire truck
Yeah.
brakes. They get real hot.
Yeah, it's
I never
I've also-
realized
I've also
that
replaced-
kind of temperature.
Cracked rotors, and they get real hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled a rotor off of a fire truck in 3 pieces at one point because it
Yeah.
got so hot. I'm like, Jesus Christ, they were getting it,
I
brother.
was gonna say I can think of a couple drivers that would break a couple brake rotors in my day.
That sucks too, because I want to go back to Colorado so bad.
Yeah.
To run like all those trails and stuff again.
Yeah.
I want to go there, but
Are we
Just
going-
stop in Denver, you're good.
At one point, you talked about hitting Sand Hollow or Colorado.
yeah, after we leave
the way home.
KOH, if the weather's good, we'll hit Hurricane and then maybe even stop in Phoenix.
How much time are you guys going to spend out there?
Solid week, Sunday to Saturday.
So you
probably watch the big race leave.
3 days driving, a week out there, 3 days home.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in a Class A, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't.
You can't do it in a JK.
You can. It's just not very comfortable.
No, trust me. We went to Moab straight through. You cannot do Johnson Valley straight through. Moab is about as far as you can go before you lose your mind.
Yeah.
So you talked about you moved in a new shop earlier.
Yep.
Is there any tools that you're wanting that you said you had a mill?
Everything in here.
Yeah. I mean, the new shop basically came with the mill, the lathe, and the plasma table. I got to get more lifts, alignment rack, all the boring shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Don't you have 3 in there already?
We had 3. One was a 15,000 pound lift that I was thought about keeping, and then we tried to put a Jeep on it, and I was like, this is never going to work. So I actually sold that to Abe Wine in his shop.
Oh, okay.
So I gotta get a third like 10K to replace that at some point. But it's really just getting everything up and running because the guy who owned it all before trashed it. I mean, everything in that building was wrecked. Yeah. Like the wall fans, like one of them doesn't work. 3 out of the 4 ceiling fans work. Like it was just. I mean, we still find diesel soot in corners of that shop. Like, I don't know what the hell he was doing. I just spent $3,000 to fix the door opener because he put like a residential garage door opener on an insulated steel 14-foot roll up. Like,
dang.
Yes. Yeah.
What's on your wish list for parts and tools and machinery?
So there anything left to buy at this point?
Yeah, I don't know.
Got CNC everything.
Well, CNC bender for sure. I mean, I've been running this Pro Tools 105 for a long time, and I've got a digital readout for it, and I love it. It does good.
It's hard to repeat stuff, though,
but
right?
Something that has can do a single pass bend, not have to reset, and computer controls for that. But dude, anytime you do computer controlled, you're looking 5, 6, 10 grand, 15. Yeah. It just the sky's the limit. And then, I mean, me and Steve talked about it. Laser. I want a freaking laser bad. But
sharks with laser beams.
But yeah, it's that's a huge expense, and you got to have the work to fill it. You know. And if you don't have somebody dedicated running that laser all day long, it's like you're not worth having it.
Yeah.
You know. So everything I've had it does everything I need to do. But yeah, probably the CNC bender would probably be the next thing for me. But tried to invest smartly. Yeah, I just got that rotary screw, so we'll see it. I hope
that's from a sanity standpoint. That's got to be some of the best money you can spend. Is a quiet compressor. Yeah, I come from the body shop background where everything's rotary screw because of volume. Yeah, and I don't understand why a piston compressor exists anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I get
they're cheap. Harry homeowner, you know, but
if you're gonna run a nail gun on a pancake compressor, which even now you can get pancake compressors that are mini scroll, and it's just like, why if you're using a full size compressor in a small shop, like it's worth because a good piston is gonna cost you $1,000. Yeah, spend the extra money. Yeah, and you'll never run out of air. Yeah, and you don't have to listen to it.
The only other thing I could think about tooling that I would really want is like a 3D scanner.
Yeah,
to be able to scan stuff, and that's something that's been a big draw for like the computer side. Is it's just me in here working the majority of the time, so like investing in something that's computer controlled, where it's repeatable, it doesn't take a day off. Yep, I can put it in there; it's going to be the same every time. It's going to do exactly what I tell it to do. Is a big draw to me, but every time you revise a file, it gets better. Yeah, you know, like you're making things, you're adjusting stuff. It's getting, so. Touching that up is good, but being able to have something come in, scan it, and then put it into the computer design around it.
Do you have a 3D printer inside or something too that you play with?
I do have a 3D printer. I haven't dabbled in it a whole lot, and
because that's a huge tool that people have been taking advantage of.
Angel's been talking to me about his. He actually, and I was kind of disappointed, and I wanted to show you guys that 3D print of the chassis I'm going to be putting out. I could show you on the computer if you guys want to see it. But yeah, I got that. I just got a small 3D printer for prototyping stuff, and then I figured like gauge clusters, cup holders, anything that I'm trying to put in, I'll mess with that and see it. The nice thing of that too is I can still use Fusion 360 for modeling. Yep. Put it on a USB, stick it in there, and that thing runs by itself. Yep. So, and I've got the tent and all for it. So, I don't have to tie up another computer running that while I'm doing other stuff.
Yeah.
It's a good, cheap way to prototype stuff, too, because before you turn it into metal and spend all the money on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got a lot of sheet metal equipment in here.
Yeah.
Do you make all your sheet panels for like your cars?
Yeah, pretty much everything I've done by hand. So like the English wheel, planishing hammer and stuff I bought for whenever I was building that buggy.
Okay.
And that buggy, everything on that buggy is rolled, which makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Where like Steve's buggy, relatively flat. And that's one of the things with like the Dragon is like, it's very good at doing like, you just call it like vectors, but like straight lines, joints, all that kind of stuff. Anytime you put like a curve into it, there's a way to do it because I know why, and I don't know if they're modeling in SolidWorks and then putting it into there. I'm sure you can do it if you're smart enough. I don't know how to do it yet, but like
not smart enough.
Yeah, building that buggy, everything's rolled on it, and that sucks for doing panel work.
Yeah,
it takes so much more time. Now, if you look at the dash on that buggy, I did some stuff where I like corkscrewed a tube in it, so it's rolled, but it's on a radius, so it comes up and sweeps out at the same time, which I've always been drawn to that kind of stuff where it's like if somebody knows what they're looking at, it's like, holy shit, that took a long time, but it doesn't look like it took that much time. That's the stuff that's cool to me. So like, all the sheet metal stuff, I do all that.
That's one thing I feel like a lot of chassis builders don't get into is the sheet metal stuff. So it's really cool that you're doing that.
Well,
in-house too.
And I'm gonna utilize the plasma table in the future. So that's like the jig built. I'll be able to do a panel kit, all that stuff in house. More aluminum work. Dashes and aluminum and that kind of stuff, so we'll see how that goes. But
there's some guys out there that do aluminum work. It's just
it's unbelievable,
crazy, phenomenal. There's
dude,
Mars Fab and Matt Cutler, those two dudes. They're both relatively close to me in the North Carolina area, and I drool over their stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're both unbelievably talented.
Yeah. I mean, aluminum's not easy to work with for that kind of work. Like
the other thing you said, you have a Crossfire 2x2.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm going to do, and I was talking to Steve about it, whenever I get back from Hammers, I'm actually going to be raising the gantry on mine and then extend, because I got the CNC torch.
Yep.
So I'll be raising and then lowering that down just to get so there's not so much spray back on the material.
Sure.
And then I'm going to put cover panels on the bearings on the road, on the sides. And I'd love to make that thing bigger. Like I was looking at their 4x8s, but then you're another $12,000 into a table 10.
And square footage is a premium.
Exactly.
Like I know for what you do, it's worth eating it, but like a 4x8 table in my shop is a bay. Yeah. And a bay is $100,000 a year.
I've just now been running into like doing hoods and roofs and stuff where I've been limited on size. So like I might undertake trying to extend that to like a 5x5, 4x5 or something, 4x6.
Yep.
And I think I can do it with just some extended lead screws and longer tubing and just get another water table. But probably when I get back from Hammers, I'll undertake that. But we'll see how it goes.
Didn't you figure out something as far as like extending it out a couple inches just by cutting the brackets or something?
Yeah. So the way that the bearings travel on that tube, it has a square tube on the end, but if you cut that bottom corner
out,
like
it
gives you like an extra like 2 inches on either side to extend. Because like
we were trying to cut that hood, or the hood.
His hood, the file, we were like 2 inches outside the traveling, and I'm like, "Fuck, man! I just get the index it and move it." And
re-square it.
The more I get to think about it, I'm like, Steve, we could have cut this on here, but I just didn't think about the way I could have done it. But,
there's also that mental hurdle of like, let me modify this $5,000 tool.
Exactly.
What warranty?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That and then, so the Tube Dragon, they make a water table for it.
Okay.
So just like that, which actually flows through the tube and the water comes out and it recycles it.
Oh, that's cool.
Whenever I was out at their factory, I got to looking at it and I'm like, they wanted $4,000 for the water table setup. And I got to looking and I'm like, half this shit you can buy at Home Depot. Yeah. So like I bought a setup. I'm gonna
pump and some tubing. Yeah.
Exactly. It's some pump and it runs up and so I'm gonna be making one for myself and I'll probably put it on my website if anybody has a 250 wanting a water table.
I get the advantage on doing a big flat panel, cutting down debris and heat and everything, but is there that much heat input when you're cutting a notch on that?
Oh yeah, it does.
Really?
The cut quality gets better. It cuts down on the smoke.
Yeah.
But yeah, your cut quality on the end piece there, because you can keep the temperature down.
Yeah.
It really improves.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have as much slag.
Yeah.
So when you cut
I just figured it was a quick enough cut that like it doesn't.
It will, and you can control it just like you control like the inches per minute speed on the table. You can control how fast it is on that.
So the slower it goes, the better the cut. Keep it cool, or even better the cut.
Yeah. Yes, and no. Yeah, you got to kind of play with it and find what your setup is gonna do for you. But yeah, so I'll be tackling that, and then get these lathes running.
Yeah.
Get that rotary phase converter and then get that thing back together. So that's my thing. Like you were saying, shop space. If it doesn't work, it's got to go. Yeah. My footage is very important. So
even when you have more footage, it's just there's always something.
You can fill it up with junk any day.
Yeah.
But stuff that works.
I'm still waiting on the second half of my pallet racking. We still have a whole bay of just random shit on pallets. Yeah. And it's like, oh, we got to move this. Okay, pick this up, move this over here, move this over here, roll this car out, move this. Okay, cool. Half hour burned.
Yeah, I just bought a Bobcat because I
saw it when it came. I'm like, God damn, he's doing it right. I don't care about the shop. I don't care about the two buggies. That man's got a Bobcat.
Yeah, buddy. Dude, that thing's so handy. So I grew up running heavy equipment, but I had my service truck had a crane on it, so I was using for having. Well, now I don't work there. I had to turn that in, so I got to move heavy stuff still. So
you realize how much heavy shit you have when you have no way to move it.
Well, I was thinking about it, like if it's just me and I got to load a chassis on a trailer to take to go to powder coat or something, I'm like I got to be able to do it. Yeah. Or move motors around or axles or whatever. So I got that. Yeah. So and that thing's been great to have around.
The 60 and the 14 bolt that you bought. Yeah. We backed your truck up. Yeah. Dumped them out of the truck. And they sat in my side yard for years, and then finally we came to an agreement that
like 5 guys.
It literally took 5 of us to lug them 15 feet into my garage with straps, and I'm like, I gotta get something soon, and and it was still hard. 5 large grown men moving a 1-ton axle.
Can the shop justify a skid steer?
Yeah.
No, that's the shop has a forklift, but I don't have anything that can get the forklift from the shop to my house, and the forklift can't go through my front yard. So.
I thought about that, but the utility of that thing. Yeah, I can do snow removal with it. I can, whatever around. Yeah,
forks. It moved this over here. This got built in that first bay.
Yeah,
and then it just got transferred.
We moved it over here. Yeah,
if I could, my next big purchase will be some sort of Kubota with forks. Yeah. Bobcat with force, something being
able to switch between all the attachments and stuff.
I wouldn't mind a bucket just for daily homeowner stuff.
Oh yeah,
and building tracks in my backyard.
So in the vein of toys, RC stuff, do you have any of the RC stuff for camp?
So I have an axial Ray. No, not the Ray.
There you go, PJ.
Yeah, Capra. Yep, I got a Capra. Yeah. And my son destroyed the speed control in it. So Tommy actually gave me one to go in. I haven't put it in yet. And then he bought the Capra with the rear steer. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, shit, now I got to do that. But yeah, I'd love to get into that stuff.
I'd spend as much money on RC as I would
on my actual Jeep. Have you seen the people that do it's either titanium or stainless steel, actual metal chassis for them, TIG welded and everything for the RCs?
I have.
It's crazy.
Brent he used to do some RC stuff, right?
Brent, he used to be RC a lot. I don't know.
He doesn't anymore?
No. Oh, okay. I think he sold his business.
Yeah.
Don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't know what capacity he was.
They have that indoor place up in Winchester. Yep. Not Key City Hobby. That's up north.
Key City. That's Frederick. Yeah. I go there all the time.
Yeah. My buddy Josh Moe's big into that stuff. He goes up there.
I got to fix mine. My batteries all blew up.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a big market for that too.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I brought mine to Moab and then Tom broke the steering.
Way to go.
Don't remind me.
That's why I don't drive them. I've driven 2 or 3 of them. Yeah. I was up Melchiner's house. I drove his young kids one. It was one of those crazy fast ones. Yeah. Boom, right into the fence, broke it. God damn it.
If you're going at least into a rock.
Yeah. If you're going on a wheeling trip, are you packing the RC car with you?
Usually I do just for the kids or we're at camp playing around, you know.
Yeah, I need to convince my wife that my 18-month-old son needs.
It's good time-consuming stuff. If you're done with the trail and you still want to wheel but not wheel, it's good to just go do it.
Usually, if we're sitting around camp or whatever, we'll mess with it. And there's some of the kids like to play with them and stuff. But yeah, it's a good time.
Mine's not completely built. I've just kind of taken the Jeep approach to it. Whatever breaks, that's what I replace.
They do competitions for those things?
You need to go to Key City and
people lose
see
their
the
jobs
competitions.
Over this.
The last time I went, there was little kids with 18-wheelers, like RC 18-wheelers with Jake brakes going and horns, going through my legs. They have
tow rigs for their RC rock crawler.
Anything and everything. Tractor pulling, all that stuff.
The nitro tractor pulls are wild. I love those videos. It's all the same Corvette dudes in their New Balances and jorts.
I feel like there would be something.
I'm one of those dudes.
I don't know if my wife would prefer me getting involved in something like that or this. What the hell are you doing in your life?
We were talking about that driving down here. My wife tells me all the time, she goes, I'm just glad your hobbies are mildly productive. Like, I'd be so pissed if you spent that much time like playing video games. Like the amount of time you spend doing Jeep stuff, like at least it's a real thing with a real object, and you're getting out of the house, you're outdoors, I
feel like there would be something to be said about doing a podcast with kind of like the guys who have the sandbox. Do that with RC crawlers while we're doing a podcast. Just build a little sandbox for crawlers.
Is that where they bring beers to each other?
Yeah. It's the best. It's all the remote. It's all like remote
what the hell
control
is this World
equipment.
Cup to?
And they have like the remote control excavators, and they're picking up.
I think
they're hilarious.
I think Adam Anderson just did that.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah, that'd be so much fun.
Well, I'm down.
RC crawlers.
Freddie has enough RC crawlers, and with the garbage can full of concrete he took from my house, we should be able to sit around his backyard.
We could just go. We just go up to
Freddie's house.
We
could literally go to Freddie's backyard and do that.
Did he buy the NASCAR back?
No.
What the hell?
He's as bad as the rest of us. He's
he's
LS swapping his daily driver right now.
Oh, the BMW,
the
right?
BMW's having LS. Yeah. And then in the one group chat,
apparently he's putting a 4-liter in his JK.
We're gonna put a 4-liter in his JK, which
I know
it's like a dumb engine swap, but I've wanted to do it for so long. I was so mad when Quadratech did it. Because I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, they did it a few years ago.
That's SEMA, yeah.
They did they called it the YJL, and they did like a square headlight conversion.
They did it really well.
And they did a 4.6 stroker in a JL. The unofficial use guys are the ones who built it, but Quadratech paid for it, and that was like their show vehicle for the year.
Okay.
Isn't that 4-liter the same size as a 2J?
No, 2JZ is like a 3.8.
It's about the same
size.
size.
No, dimensionally.
Yeah, it's about the same size.
Yeah, dimensionally, it's about the same size. So, I think
I'd rather swap that motor into something.
I think
I've seen an XJ. I've seen an XJ with a 2J in it.
The 2Js are wider because they're dual overhead cam versus the single push rod.
Yeah, but for a JK, it'll fit in there.
The JK is a little tight. Like a TJ or an XJ. Yeah, you'd be fine.
I mean, you can fit it. It'll be interesting because I'm not sure what we're gonna have to do front end wise.
Stretch it.
But I mean, he's got the early JK with the 3.8 in it, and it's a pig. That thing's a fucking boat anchor.
Yeah,
like they're useless. It's underpowered, unreliable, and they're just all garbage.
Yeah, we did the snow day wheeling the other day, and he was like, he had to put it in full drive because he couldn't get up a hill.
Yeah,
With it, he's got 44 and a 60.
Well, also, no.
Yeah, he's got 60
but
it's
a 40. Yeah, I was gonna say it's a 44 in the rear.
Yeah,
I still don't understand why the previous owner put literally a Curry. It's not even. It's like a Rock Jock 60. It's and it's like one-off Curry unit bearings. Like it's like one of the early Rock Jock 60s in the front, and left the stock 44 in the rear, and they just run a massive wheel spacer.
Yeah, the 3.8 is just so underpowered though. It's just just a shame.
Yeah, I'm just like. Never should have bought that Jeep.
Yeah,
I think he got a good deal on it.
But that's what I kept telling him. I was like, it might be cheap, but it's not worth it. Like, you don't need any of the shit that's on that. And then he redid half of it.
Yeah,
right after he bought it. It's a different episode.
I've got a YJ and a TJ tub out here that I'm going to be building chassis on.
You got a spare tailgate for your YJ anyway?
Speaking of Bam Bam,
there's one on it. But I was actually going to be Angels at YJ.
Okay.
And it may still be. We'll see what happens.
I would prefer a CJ tailgate. I want to do the CJ drop down on my YJ. But
so how many chassis do you think you'll end up building in a 365 in a year? In 365 days, how many chassis do you think you pump out? Like when you hit full production, like once you get your feet under you.
I don't know. I've never done it. Okay, we'll see. I mean, the sky's the limit, to be honest. And really, like once you get that thing dialed in, what would take me a month, that thing will pump out in 3-4 hours.
God damn.
Yeah. I mean, that is a huge time saver.
Every tube cut exactly perfect.
Yeah.
The only thing you got to do is pull them out and bend them off the
Do you have a
notch
CNC
marks.
bender?
No, that's what I need to get.
Okay.
We just
So
had a whole
I've got-
conversation about CNC benders, Tim.
I've got
Listen, man.
that 105 with the digital readout.
Okay.
But that'll probably be the next step. But no, once you that thing's kind of
if whenever you decide you're ready for the CNC bender, let me know. I'll probably buy that from you to help fund that CNC bender.
Every excuse needed right there.
the CNC
He
bender
was,
and a
he was
roller.
bought one at PRI. And he's like, "Can you put this in your car and wait till Sunday to go home?" And I'm
I
like,
forget the name of that company. I have the card on my desk, but there's a company they're US based. I don't want to say knocking off the JD Squared, but they're doing a similar JD Squared type bending system.
It was affordable,
and the base bender was like $350
Whoa.
with a die.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I like they were,
Man, if you look at them, they're pretty
They're
simple.
so simple, yeah.
You could cut those parts.
yeah.
They're
Yeah,
not.
that's the other half
It's
of that,
not
yeah.
hard to make it.
That's true.
But yeah, the JD Squared, I think it's a Model 54.
Yeah,
is
something like-
probably
yeah.
what I'll. Because I was looking at like a RVD 250, the Baylay. Dude, you're
crazy.
You're another $10,000-$12,000, and then they have that long extension. It's almost like the gantry on that.
Yeah, 'cause it's like the manual style, right? Yeah.
And it's like if you're gonna do it, but do you really need all that? It's like, holy hell.
Yeah. Well, when you get an order for 50 chassis,
Exactly.
For real.
Exactly.
That's-
Well, so I got tied in with a guy down in Richmond that does a bunch of schools, and he for the Titan, the CNC press brake, he needed some gutter straps bent up. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I did 100 for him. He hit me up there the other morning and said he needed 800 to 1,000 more. And I'm like,
Jesus.
fuck. I was like, hey, bring it on, dude. Like,
yeah.
I cut the 100 on that plasma table, and it's not hard work. You're just feeding machines.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm
Just
probably
tedious.
gonna call Laser Bros if I got to do that many, and then I'll just bend them up here.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah, work it into
Yeah.
the cost.
Money's money at that point.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, just feeding machines and sit here for a day and a half just bending them all up.
Yep.
You know, but yeah.
Yeah, but
that's-
at least it's easy. You're not gonna sit there with a tape measure doing
Programmable.
Yeah.
Just hit the button.
exactly.
Tink.
Once you
it. Tink.
get that
Tink.
thing dialed in.
Well, that's exactly what that machine is for. Is
Yeah.
just-
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it's super nice too.
Yep.
If anybody's been thinking about it, I love it.
Yeah.
But the Langmeyer stuff, I mean, for the price point,
It's great.
yeah, they say like hobbyist, but like if you're not a full on like race shop like Brenthal Industries or
Yeah.
like, and you're not making $1 million, so like where I'm at in my career at this point right now, this stuff is great.
Yeah.
Like the Langmeyer tables, they're sectionable, like I think 2x3, and you can
Yep.
bolt them together.
Yep.
And then the table, this like if I go to a bigger like a 4x8, I'll probably go to the XR.
Yeah. Sure.
And then that Titan has been awesome.
Yeah,
man.
that's cool.
Yeah. Unless you're in a warehouse, this is all you need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're
exactly.
literally just
Yeah.
making brackets
Yeah.
all day, every day, and you're going to pay somebody to stand there and
Yeah.
bend brackets,
Yeah.
like that's more than you need.
Exactly. Yeah, and that was the thing is like I'd love to have a Baylay 33 ton, but they're
Yeah.
20 grand.
Yeah.
and then you got to buy tooling on top of it, and
Yep.
the
And
you know,
another
special-
computer.
the
and-
concrete
yeah.
underneath of it,
Yeah.
3-phase, and all that. I'm like,
Yep.
this is perfect for what I'm doing.
Yep.
You know, I can still bend hoods and roof panels and stuff with it. You know, and you see I got it set up. I was bending wider than what it's supposed to, but
Yeah.
hey, it took it. So
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it might not bend, quarter inch at that width, but
yeah, and it's you got to look at the airbending chart and do the calculation, but it also whenever you put it in there, it calculates the tonnage and tells you like center it up or do this or that.
Mhm.
you
That's
know.
pretty cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
takes
Oh,
all
yeah.
the thinking out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot there, and it'll
It
give you
makes
like
makes it dumb guy approachable.
tonnage
Yeah.
warnings. I think it'll do quarter inch, like 15 or 20 inches long.
That's
Damn.
that's
Yeah.
substantial.
3/8 is like I think 6 inches.
That's still
Yeah.
that's substantial.
Yeah.
That's big.
Which I was thinking about doing like diff covers and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That would
yeah,
do
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because the steering trusses that are on his axles, I cut those and we bent them here,
okay.
and that is that's big enough to bend them. So those trusses, they're the bend, and I was like, it's
Yeah.
good. I think it was 19 inches, and they would do it.
I don't think Tom needed a salesman, but he got one.
Yeah. Yeah. Where they get you
That's
is
a
like
great machine.
the machine. What was it? I can't even remember. $6,500.
Yeah. All that
And
stuff
then
below it.
this and that. Yeah, $4,000 in the door, and then this, and then that,
Yeah.
and then that. Well, you're 10 grand by the time you're done.
They do the same thing with the tables because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when I was negotiating to buy all that equipment, I was like, let me see what one of these is worth, and I was like, oh, it's only worth like $1,500. And then I clicked it and built it out and was like, oh shit, no, the way he's got it configured, it's $5,000 table. Like,
well, that one was, I think, $2,750 or $3,000 whenever you go on there. $3,500 option.
Yeah, but then you add the Z-axis, the water table, the slats, the laptop stand,
computer. Then you got to buy a separate computer, then a separate plasma cutter and all that. You're $6,000.
Yep.
$6,500.
Yep.
Worth every fucking penny.
Oh yeah.
I'd do it again in a heartbeat. That thing is.
Yeah.
I mean, Steve will tell you when we're building this thing, there's days that thing ran all day
This
long.
place would be so smoky.
That's why I got an exhaust fan.
Brady would walk here and she's like, what are you doing? Turn the fan on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do.
Every one of these brackets and tabs are pretty much we've redone.
Cut here.
A lot of them.
Yeah, before I dive into the 3 links for the YJ, I'll get that plasma table running.
Yeah.
So I can just cut everything myself. Yeah,
it's so useful. Man.
I mean, I know I can go to Barnes and buy 100. I can buy the whole kit of pre-bent, pre-welded, ready to go links.
Which I saw Ballistic Fab was going out.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Were they down in Asheville with the storm?
No, that was Barnes.
Was that Barnes got hit?
Yeah,
Barnes got hit, but
they were down for like 2 weeks, and then they got back up and running. Barnes is fine. Ballistic, I think that's Georgia. I think are they Georgia?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's in the south.
Yeah, they're
PJ.
Google.
From what I've heard, and I mean it's just internet rumors, is they just got burnt out,
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And that's like
that's something else I've had to come to terms with myself is like building this business and trying to do it. It's like you listen to Oil and Whiskey. I've heard you mention them, and they talk on there is like you have to define success for yourself.
Yep.
Yeah.
And whether that's one guy in a shop in his backyard doing what he loves and making a living and paying my bills, or it's a 20-bay shop and you never touch anything anymore. Like you got to figure that out for yourself, what you're happy with doing, you know? So it's like you got to control what size you're going to be and do it. So it's like once I got that into my head and like figured out like, yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. So set your realistic expectations for what your success is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But also the other thing is like doing it at a level that I want to. Like, I'm at a yes phase right now where like anything that's coming in the door, I'm going to take it because I got to get the business growing. Quick. But when it gets to a certain point, where I want to be at a level, like I feel like this is the nicest buggy I've built so far.
Sure.
So far. That's the big word.
We said that many times.
Yeah. But I want to keep pushing and this is very much in the direction I want to go.
And that's benefited me as much as it is him because he said it out loud and I never thought about it that way. But him saying that he wanted to be above and beyond all that appealed to me.
Well, I think that the minutia stuff of bending gutter tabs is going to go away once the industry finds 100%. Out the quality of your work. It's like this thing's. I know you didn't do the tube work, but like you did all the paneling, you built that buggy. Like your work is there. It's just the industry has to find that you exist.
And that's like trying to figure out media, advertising. Do I need advertising? Well, that might not necessarily bring in the people that you want.
No.
Yep.
But if I turn out quality work and keep pushing and heading in the direction that I want to go, word of mouth will spread, and I think it'll do what I want it to do.
Well, like if what not, we found is as inconvenient as it may be, you have to put yourselves in the right situations to be seen.
Sure.
And I think that's what we found out. So like going to a PRI next year, like getting a 10x10 booth and setting up a buggy straight up.
Yeah.
Just to show, hey, I'm doing tube work and I'm on the East Coast.
And having been to PRI, if you put a buggy there, you'll be one of 5 buggies in the building. Like,
that might be cool.
I was supposed to be there this year.
Yeah, it was cool.
And like, I'll say
you're building a buggy, you ain't got time for PRI.
I knocked it right to the curb. Spend a weekend up here with Hadley or go to PRI.
When you're done with hammers, rinse the dirt off, park in the trailer, pull it back out next December, you'll be good. But for me, one of the hardest things that I had to accept was firing customers. Mm-hmm. Like you take that work, you say yes, but then like as those demands keep coming back from the same, and you're just like, it's not worth it anymore, and like that's a hard hurdle. But once you fire that first customer, it's such a good feeling. And now I love it. I love firing customers.
Denied.
Yeah,
no soup for you.
One of our friends, Russ, came by. Russ Tire came by, and I don't know. Was he 75 now?
Yeah,
I mean, cool
70s,
old dude. If anybody knows him, they're like, he's the man.
Yeah.
But he stopped by the other day to see the new shop and kind of congratulate me on going on. And he's like, one of the things he does, and he starts talking to a customer, is like, he's like, whether I do it subconsciously or not, he's like, I'm profiling them as soon as I start talking to him. It's like, yeah, why am I going to sell a $100,000 job to somebody who can only afford a $5,000 job? He's like, I'm going to treat everyone with respect and deal with them. But he's like, you got to kind of realize the market you're dealing with and what you want to do. And it's like, okay,
I can't tell you how many Jeeps. Well, I'm going to do a Hemi swap. Cool. It starts at $40,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Know your worth too. Yeah.
$40,000.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I'm not telling you what you can afford. I'm just asking.
Yeah.
If you want a base Hemi in your JL and you want air conditioning in your dashboard to work, it's going to be $40,000.
Yeah.
Oh. Really?
Maybe I don't want that.
Well, how about an LS swap? $35,000. Like,
how about an RC crawler?
An LS is like $12,000. Come on now.
If you don't want your dashboard and air conditioning to work, which in the DC area everybody wants air conditioning, like I can put an LS in anything. Whether it drives out of my building when we're done with it is a different conversation. Like you got that's drive shafts, it's brakes, it's axles. If your Jeep is stock, like so many people with a stock Jeep, I want a Hemi. Cool. How big's your lift? Oh, it's stock. Okay, you need a 3-inch lift. What? Oil pan clearance, drive shaft clearance. Like, it's the thing. Like, you can't just put a motor in anything. Like, there's ancillary parts to go with it.
Yeah.
And like that is I think a tough hurdle for a new business, because people see new business, they go, ooh, good deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, easy. Just because I'm new doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a good model, or that's a good way to introduce the conversation.
Yeah.
Like as soon as they say that, if you come up with those numbers right out of the gate, then it's huge.
Yep.
So here's what you're signing on for.
And like for us, we
starting at whatever.
I was 6 months into a shop, and I'm like, people ask me to do a Hemi swap. Hell yeah, I want to do a Hemi swap.
Yeah, I want to do
Let me figure this out. And then and now like I'm all excited, they're all excited, and then I go, oh fuck, this is gonna be $40,000. Like, hey, it's $40,000. Oh, you got me all excited, and I'm like. Hey, like, I'm just telling you what I found out.
That's the hardest thing I've run into is like estimating stuff that I've never done before. People want to cut and dry price up front, and it's like, well, hell, I ain't never done that.
You're going to lose your ass the first few times.
I'm game to do it. I'll do anything, once, but...
$20 is $20.
That's Hadley.
But the best thing you
after
can,
that, it's like, okay, step back a minute.
The best thing you can do is hope that those customers are willing to work with you.
Yeah.
And you just go, hey, like, I don't know.
Educating a customer.
I'm not going to charge you more than this, but it might take me twice as long, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you just find your way to figure it out.
Well, the thing is shooting high.
Then,
I'd rather shoot high and have the back pedal after that than come in low and say, hey, it's going to be another $1,000.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, in this world, I think that's a safe approach for us. If somebody came to me and was like, I want to build this, and I went, it's gonna be $100,000 or less.
Well,
I'm never gonna sell that job.
That's one of the things I think is going to be not necessarily better, but good for me is like trying to build something that's like, okay, this is the base. This is what I'm building. You can do it 3 different options, these different powertrains. I have a tab and panel kit.
Yep.
What do you want?
Yep.
This can be anything you want it to be, or you can buy it and do whatever you want with it. Yep. So we'll see how it goes.
What's your dream build? What if you could build anything? What would you build tomorrow?
Oh man.
Or is it above us?
No.
Does it have portals?
Like I said,
depends. We're in the testing phase.
Yeah.
After they're proven, then
everybody always
volume.
talks about like the IFS solid axle. What's better? What's doing this? I've always wanted a solid axle up front, trailing arms in the back, front and rear steer, like a big V8.
Yep.
Turbo 400 Atlas, and but like creature comforts too. Heated seats.
Yeah.
Those are I got to do heated.
So
seats.
it's like a luxury middle car.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not racing, but I've always been a big thing is like if I'm going to go trail ride, I want to be able to hit anything.
Yeah.
You got to be with the people you're going to be able to fit in the, because I used to like my buggy.
You don't want to outbuild your friends.
Yeah. If you look at my buggy, I used to ride with a lot of Toyota guys, which are super narrow. So my axles are narrow because some of the trees and stuff, like riding in the woods, you can't fit certain places. So my rear is actually a van axle 14 bolt, which is the narrowest. Okay. And then my front 14 bolt, we matched. So we took a dually rear, cut the brakes off, and pressed Dana 60 steering knuckles on the end of it. But the way that we set it, I was able to do it without retubing it using that dually rear. So
Yeah, but now you have the custom inner axles, and there's
exactly. Hey, 10 years ago it was cool.
Oh yeah.
Now it's like shit. What am I doing? So, we'll see. Yeah. But I'm not going to do trailing arms just yet because I got to build out this first one and see how the 4-link's going to perform and do everything I want. I want to put rear steer on it because that's just been on my list.
Yeah, rear steer's cool,
no
matter what you're doing.
After messing with Steve's, I'm like, I'm going to make it work.
I have a feeling you're going to ride/drive this thing and your whole...
Are you going to let him drive it?
I already drove his... He had that Jason Lee Mundy, the single-seater that Leah's got now with the 3800 in it. And driving the thing at Good Evening Ranch, it's like... This thing's stupid. Like, it'll do fucking anything you want.
That's the thing about these cars.
Whatever you point it at, it's going to do.
Just like a normal trail ride doesn't do you justice.
No.
You're bored.
You
have to you literally are doing circles around your group. The group's going up the trail and you're going around and around and around. And hitting every single line and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
that's one of my favorite places. Good Evening.
I want to get up there.
That place is awesome. You guys been there?
No, I haven't. PJ's been.
Oh my God.
Dude. You went with Tommy.
Yep.
Yeah, you went.
That was a good time,
dude. This last year, I've been head down trying to get this business going, and I haven't been able. Like, we went to Good Evening with Alan Uther. It was kind of like a last minute thing because I told Brandy, I'm like, we're getting ready to tear this buggy down this morning. I'm like, this might be the last time we ride this thing.
She's like, let's roll.
I'm not getting rid of the chassis. I might put it back together later, but I need the powertrain parts out of it. Like, that's going to be the fastest way to get something back riding again.
Yeah.
So we hot shotted it up there, and but I didn't make it out years. My goal when I told myself that I was building a new buggy and do the chassis after Hammers tear mine down, I was going to try and get it ready for Tommy's ride at Roush in the spring. But realistically, I don't think I can do it because I'm going to be building a chassis, but I'm also going to be building a jig on a table and panels and trying to R&D all of this stuff. Later on down the road, I could build it quick. But I think the first one's going to take me more time. Like, that's 3 month turnaround. Plus, I got other builds. I got this one, the one outside.
At this point in the business, you're better off taking your time.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think anybody will hold it against you.
No. But I might still end up there. Maybe just my RC crawler up there.
Yeah. I mean, the YJ won't be done by the time his event rolls around, but I might take the JK.
I mean, really, there's not much of a rush these days.
What, for the YJ?
For any of our builds.
Put a deadline on it, like King of the Hammers.
So for me,
unless we're racing,
we had Jordan Davis, Recoil PJ. He's one of the Rockstar Garage guys on the podcast back in October, and like, I really want to do a Great American Crawl event, and they're at Good Evening Ranch.
Ultimate Adventure.
And they did that last year, didn't they?
Yeah, they're coming back this year.
I remember Bobby talked. We were up there like the week before or something. They showed up.
I'll say my hard date is August, but last time I gave myself a hard date, I didn't even look at the fucking thing. So
I always say,
give yourself a hard date of July. If it's August, give your hard date as July.
Yeah, but I also I'm also in a different at that point, I was still leaving it leaf sprung. Like, I've at least developed what I want to do with the build. Now I just need to finish getting the parts together. Like, I have everything I need to build the 14 bolt and put that under it. I got to do the front end. I still got to get all the hydro steering stuff together.
See, my hard date for the XJ is the East Coast Ultra 4 race next year.
No, you don't. You're not going to make Roush in March.
No,
Are they doing
Roush in March?
AOA again?
They're doing Roush
this year.
Yeah, and then I'd have to look at the schedule. There's something down south. AOP, that's right.
And
AOP is wicked.
What's the third race?
Don't ever go ride that place when it's wet. If it's raining like we
it's
went,
funny. Ian Johnson said the same thing.
We went when it was wet. Holy hell! You can get even get into half the trails. Like, you're beating the shit out of your buggy. You can't even get up on the entrance. It's so slick.
Yep. All right. So Roush is the 14th and 15th of March. Kentucky.
That's right.
Bowling Green is the 2nd and 3rd of May.
What is this, 4400 stuff?
Ultra 4 stuff. Yeah. June 27th and 28th is AOP. And then Crandon
would be so
end of
cool
August.
Yeah, I'd like to build the XJ actually out to race.
Yeah,
I think that's the actual goal with that car. And
what about Line Mountain?
It could probably do line mountain now because I don't think you need a
a
cage for line mountain.
I don't know the spec.
I don't know either, but I think line mountain would be a lot of fun. It's also not. Cool. It's more high speed tree stuff than like rock stuff. So I think that'd be fun as shit.
That might be. I know like Eric Miller and
Eric Miller.
Timmy Diekman raced up there, and then
Schoolie races up there.
Big B.
Yeah. Cameron races line mountain, and they've also got Schoolie also has an XJ that he races in line mountain, or he has got a buddy that races his XJ in line mountain.
Yeah.
He pulled it when we were unloading the trailer. He pulled out an XJ, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" He goes, "Oh, I just store it in the trailer with my race car." All right.
Hey, that's George.
Yeah. I mean, I would. My goal for Roush, because Roush is the one I'm definitely going to get to.
Yeah. Are you going to try and make it up there for that? For the Ultra 4 race?
We'll see.
This year's going to be this year for Hadley is going to be great. His previous job hampered him quite a bit as far as just being able to socialize and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He worked like a madman. So this
that's
transition,
not going to
change. But it's a different kind of work.
But now your socialization is a business expense, so it's all still work.
Exactly.
Plus, it's also needed. Socializing.
I mean, we're 5 years in, and I think I've paid for an ad once in 5 years.
Yeah.
And like this is the year where I'm finally like, all right, I'm gonna advertise and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like see if I'm missing something or if I'm not, because like we haven't needed it, but it's all been word of mouth.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
It's like you listen to the podcast.
I do.
Hey.
I do.
So it's like, the best thing you can do is be in front of people, and
well, that's what I figure. The more people I get out and see and meet and shake hands and hey, on the trail with a buggy that I'm selling.
Yep.
What is this? Oh, it's mine.
Yep.
There's you can have one.
There's 100 chassis options, and 9 times out of 10, people are going to choose who they want to go with more so than what they want to go with.
And Tommy's actually, whenever I designed that was sort of a prototype for what I was, and I actually built that buggy. I designed the suspension on that buggy first before we designed the chassis and built it. So we kind of built it a little bit backwards than what I had done in the past, which I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Because then you're building two set points in space rather than just, hey, we're going to make this fit what I did.
Makes sense.
With the socialization you guys were talking about, the way YouTube and Instagram and kind of Facebook these days, you kind of have to use it.
Yeah.
If you're just trying to do word of mouth in this industry, you're not going to go very far.
To me, that
unless
is
you're
word of
in
mouth,
a good
though.
area. Like, if you started in Moab, word of mouth would be so easy.
I realized pretty quick working in here by myself is like I'm pretty isolated where I am.
Yeah.
Like there's nobody out here that's going to drive by and see a storefront or anything. Like it's just a guy in a shop in his backyard like doing this thing. So
but you're also 5 hours from how many different world-class parks here.
Exactly.
Like I always,
it's a niche, but it's a good spot. I feel like so
East Coast is about to blow up.
as much as I didn't want to do like the Facebook and social media thing. I think it's a necessity of this day and age.
It's literally,
it's
literally free advertising.
Yeah.
It's literally free
and
advertising.
I've been trying to post on there a lot more regular and stuff.
Yeah.
And,
We also have the nice thing of your laser work, your machine work is like I find myself watching one of those tube machines like just on Instagram. Like I'm just like it's fucking clickbait, but I'll watch something cut all day long. So you post that on there, people eat that shit up.
Yeah.
A 60-second sped up clip of cutting tube.
At least people with ADD will.
It's me. Hi.
Yeah, if it's over 30 seconds, I'm out.
There's so many people that post different stuff, and I'm like, just one guy working on the same thing for like 3 months. I'm like, nobody wants to see me cut the same tab over again.
Yeah.
Like,
I will. I'll watch it.
It's like,
have you watched Grindhard Plumbing Co?
I'll just stick it
I
out
watched
there.
6 months of him building that monster chopper.
I'll just stick it out there and see what happens.
Yeah.
So we'll
I
see.
follow all these benders now. I don't own a bender. I don't know how to weld. I don't do meanwhile all my feed is all fabrication shit.
Yeah.
I have the desire. I just don't know how to do it.
If you enjoy watching it, there's an Australia. I don't know if you've ever heard of the guy Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering in Australia.
A bunch of like big cylinder repairs.
Yeah.
They do some hardcore stuff.
His
man.
long form stuff is fascinating. It's literally 45 minutes, and it's all like time lapse of him, like just lathing shit down. But like my wife is like, didn't you watch this one last week? And I'm like, no, that was a Cat D6. This is a forklift ram. And she's like, what's the difference? And I'm like, oh, well, this time he's like rebuilding the piston. That time he was re-sleeving it.
Yeah.
She's like, he's doing the same thing over and over again. I was like, I don't care. And it's just
it's entertaining.
It's a half hour of just listening to the lathe.
When it's recorded well, you can watch it.
Yeah.
You know, like they were making fun of me the first time I fired the lathe up at the shop. I just stared at it,
Well, you wanted to put your finger in it?
Yeah. Just intrusive thoughts.
Stick your dick in it. Yeah.
Stick your dick in it.
There's something that draws me to like that old school stuff, like World War II, like the people built and like the technology that does like that South Bend lathe that's right there, like the oil passages and like a felt lubrication on that, like those guys had nothing. They came up with that shit.
Yeah,
and like they developed planes in fucking 90 days.
They drew it literally on a napkin.
Yeah.
They didn't have CAD.
Exactly.
They didn't prototype that. They didn't 3D print it first.
What a time to be alive,
right?
You know, and it's like. That stuff really like and like those old lathes like that. That's why I love having that. And it works.
The fact that they made that precise of a machine with like sand casting and files is incredible.
Yeah. This could go into a whole entire new episode.
Oh yeah.
But like the World War I, World War II, like planes and stuff, all of those pilots coming back from the war.
Oh yeah.
That were just like adrenaline junkies from flying the planes.
Too,
That's how hot rods got started. It's so awesome.
They all had all money in their pocket. I mean, that's why the Corvette exists, right? Like it's
people forget about that all the time.
The Ford Roadster, all that.
You can thank all of the sports cars these days to tracing back to World War II pilots just wanting that fix of going fast.
I would say you could even go back to World War I and Prohibition, right? Like that's the real start of hot rodding was Prohibition, but it's the same idea of these guys came back from the war, they weren't allowed to drink, so they all turned to being criminals. And how fast can I drive?
Together.
Right, a moonshine.
I always thought it's strange is that like every Bridgeport machine or any of those like iron workers and all this stuff, everyone you see is like from the 50s. I'm like,
that's what I'm talking
about.
What
a terrible business model
works.
that they made something that never dies.
They don't break.
They don't break.
I think when they built them, they just assumed they would break.
And if something breaks, you can make the parts to fix it
on
the machine.
It's a self-sufficient tool. Yeah, it's crazy.
But they're all old.
But
like none of them
to
are
that
new.
point, you can buy a new Bridgeport. It's $40,000, but it's identical. They didn't change a thing. It's wild.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's like 6 people with them sitting outside their garage, like rotting into the earth. That you could literally pull it out of there, bring it in your shop, and spend a week or a month rehabbing it and getting it going again, and actually working.
I don't remember what the name of the shop was, but the shop that was next to West End.
Oh,
the old guy that was running his machine shop out of there. I don't remember what was in there.
He was doing all like small engine stuff.
Yeah, he was doing small engine. He was doing welding and stuff and like tractor stuff,
Yeah.
like simple stuff. But he had a bunch of tools in there.
Yeah.
And then he passed away shortly after
Yeah, it
I
all
left
got
West
auctioned
End,
off.
so I don't even know what happened to it.
It all got auctioned off.
Ugh.
They did like a full on estate auction. No, I mean like so. Ironically, enough, my father-in-law didn't realize it was across the street from my house.
Yeah.
And was like following that because he grew up on a farm in Carlisle. Like they still have he has like 15 tractors in a barn in Pennsylvania. Like it's crazy. But he was interested in all the farming stuff that was there, so he was following it, and he actually went to the auction and was like, "Oh, here it's like right here. It's like right by the house." But he said there were like 3 or 4 people who just came in and bought everything.
Yeah.
But it was it was like shops and business. It wasn't like it's not in somebody's garage. Like somebody came in going, I need that machine.
Yeah, like Harry Homeowner's not going to just walk in there and go, I need that.
Yeah.
Hey, you see some of those machines
like
like
us.
Jesse James has. It's like holy shit.
Yeah.
Like those big power hammers and shit. Like that shit will kill you.
So were you using all these machines at your previous job, and you just kind of like you bought them from them?
Self-taught?
No, to a point. So like learning in school, we did like some lathe and like welding and all that stuff. I went to Pennsylvania College of Technology. I think you did too, right?
Wait, how did I not know that?
Yeah, Penn College.
Yeah.
I graduated in 2007.
Okay, so you graduated right as I started, because I started in 08. I graduated high school in 08.
Yeah, so I went for heavy equipment to Penn College.
Oh, no shit.
In Williamsport.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I used to, I lived off campus, but yeah, so I went up there for a couple years.
Wild.
But we would do.
Yeah. We may have had that conversation. I did not retain that information, so this is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's like me and Matt going to the Wildtech.
Yeah, but everybody went to Wiotech.
Yeah, I thought about it.
You're like the fourth person I've met in the wild that went to Penn College.
In the wild.
We're out there.
Yeah, well, yeah, apparently.
Yeah, but yeah, just over the years, I mean, you deal with machining work and welding, fabrication, all that, line boring, all that kind of stuff, equipment stuff, and then turning wrenches, all that. I feel like it's one of the larger jobs where like 80% of what you learn in school you use on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Where it's like somebody goes to school for biology and they end up being a fucking accountant or something. It's like,
Yeah, as I did collision at Penn College, so it's like,
oh, more beers.
Bring it on.
It's gonna be one of we knew it was gonna be a 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah.
I think I got one floating around here. I got one.
Sure.
I don't drink Bud Light.
No, you're too bougie. Oh, that's right. You have a Class A RV. You're too good for Bud Light.
Yeah.
I grew up on it.
Before you had the RV.
He listens to Kid Rock.
Yeah. I mean that.
Steve used to work at a strip club.
Did you?
Oh, that's a tangent. That's a different podcast.
Best story in life. Were
you a stripper?
No. So, people, not to automatically go into a conversation with somebody. Hey, what do you do?
Yeah.
Park cars at a titty bar.
Gotta start somewhere.
It was pretty good. I saw a lot of tattoos. I saw every single piercing. I saw everything. Every girl coming in there.
Did they know you were parking the cars, or were you just
No.
out front
I worked at the club for the club. So all the girls, when they came in, they would naturally, oh look, want to see my new tattoo? Want to see my new piercing? Okay, thank you.
Great. Now,
please put that roast beef sandwich away.
now we have to mark this as a mature audience podcast.
Arby's.
This is maturity. Different level.
Yeah. One thing I wish I did more of at Penn College was the machining side of it.
Yeah.
Because I was dead set I was going to be like a painter. Like I wanted to paint cars and do custom paint jobs. Like that was my thing.
Dave Kindig.
Yeah. And then I realized
that guy is an artist.
I don't have the art gene.
Dude, did you see that car he built for just won the Riddler?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's that.
I'm waiting for that season to come up because he said they put it in there.
Yeah.
It took him like 5 years to build that thing. All aluminum, hand built.
Yeah. It's like I did. I don't know if you
Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you follow the school since you left, but
really,
I did.
We just go out to the flats and get drunk and wheel.
That too. Yeah. I did when I started my Jesus Christ. They now have an automotive restoration degree. And it started out as a class, and I was like the first. There was 4 of us took the class, and we in one semester basically did a frame off on a '64 Mustang convertible. It's in the Hershey Auto Museum. Won a bunch of AACA junior awards, a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah,
and that project and managing that project and going through that whole process was what started I want to do full builds. I like doing the metalwork. I like doing this, but that. I had the choice of that class or the engine machine class, and I went restoration because that's what I wanted to do at the time. And I have buddies who did engine machining and now understand how to run lathes, and I'm the guy on watching the YouTube video how the fuck do I do this again? Shit, I'm terrible at fractions.
I've always been drawn to machining and stuff, and that. It's just been something I've never delved into until a certain point, and then it was let's just do it. So we had a lathe and stuff at the shop. I'd mess with that whenever I needed to, and got into.
So all the stuff here you just bought yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. See what I need, and it's I was telling Steve, talking about that plasma table again. How the hell did we even do this before?
Oh my god!
Fuck. you spend half a day making a damn tab.
I got one of those.
You know, and it's like,
I don't know where it went, but I used to have one of the rollers for the tip of the plasma cutter just to cut straight lines.
Yeah.
And like when I first bought the plasma cutter, I couldn't cut anything in a straight line. I got the roller, and all of a sudden I was like, "Whoa, this changes the game."
It's amazing when you get the tool that actually does it.
Yeah,
And it's like,
And
how
now,
the hell did I do this before?
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, grinder discs. I mean,
yeah.
flap disc. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, the old
Yeah.
days that was just the one.
Yeah.
You cut everything and ground everything with just that.
you can
that
still
big,
do
thick
that.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
The
can.
wild thing is,
It's allowed.
yeah, that's
I do
how,
it all the time.
Yeah.
that's how they built those airplanes in the 40s.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah,
They
no
knew that
shit.
shit.
And, and an oxyacetylene torch. That's how they cut everything.
Well,
Just don't side load that cutting wheel too much when you're deburring the pipe,
Yeah.
and you're good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, like, the more I've gotten into fabrication and stuff, especially being around the heavy equipment, it's like when I look at something, I'm like, okay, a man built this and figured out how to do it. I can figure out how to do
Yep.
it. So it's like, and the way, like, okay, we could do this, this, and this, make it better. And that's one thing, like, when I was so I worked for Caterpillar for 12 years, and then I went over to John Deere for like the last 8. When I was working for John Deere, I still had some of the same customers. I'm like, I'm not brand loyal. I'm loyal to what works.
Yep.
So like, if I know somebody else has something better that's going to work, let's use that, and just make it do what we need it to.
I think that's way more prevalent in the heavy equipment stuff because it's like that machine not running is costing money.
Exactly.
Like I don't care how you fix it, fix it.
Yes.
And the part is so goddamn expensive.
Yeah.
I'd rather pay you the same amount of money to fix it today than wait for the part.
Yeah, and that's something transitioning to dealing with somebody who, like, you can give them a $30,000 bill and they're like, all right, how fast can you get it? How fast can you get it done? To like, oh, now $800. That's going to be a bitch.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a little bit of a transition because like the last several years I dealt with the quarries like pretty much mainstream where it's like they don't give a shit. That thing costs $15,000 an hour that it's down or however much. You know, they don't care.
Yep.
Just get it done.
Yep. Yeah. Now it's take your time and
make it
try
right.
to stay under budget.
Exactly. Yeah. Different thing. But 20 years, maybe time for a career change.
No.
Give it a shot. What were you going to say, bud?
We were talking about building things specifically like World War II era
Buggies?
stuff. Like, no.
LJs?
No.
LJs on tons and 40s?
Culpepercustoms.com.
That's a different topic.
No, DirtNerdsOffroad.com.
No, they're just the old stuff that they don't build like they do anymore. Like,
Okay, boomer.
They don't build
I am the boomer.
they used to.
anyway, like I'm a
build
history
washing
nerd,
machines
so
like they used to.
like the Titanic and like seeing how they did.
Titanic didn't
It
do well,
sunk.
did it?
Wow. Ships
The front fell
from
off.
back then.
Fucking
It
iceberg
hit a
got
fucking
that
ice
bitch.
cube and fucking fell
Doing
over.
like the rivets and all that, like just doing. They did half that shit by fucking hand.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
he didn't beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody always talks about like if you could build a time machine, where would you go back to? I want to go back to the 40s and bring one of those guys forward and be
Yeah.
like, "This is a CNC plasma table," and just
And then
watch.
they would crucify you.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Where's your oxyacetylene torch? No, plasma cutter.
There's definitely something to be said for like getting lost in like that English wheel, like where you're working
Oh,
a panel
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
running, like slamming your fingers in there, like catching them, like, hey dumbass, pay attention to what you're
Yeah.
doing, like.
Yeah.
But just like working that, it, like you said before, like it's an art to do
Yeah.
all this kind of shit. You know, just like Kindig and doing
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Like those guys are amazing.
Yep.
You know,
We had that conversation with Nate Stowers, like Flowers, Eric Miller's co-driver, because he runs a machine shop for Trex.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like he's like, I was forced to learn manual machining, which makes
Big B.
the CNC stuff that much easier because you understand what the computer's trying to do. Where like he's like, I have people under me that only know CNC, and when something goes wrong, it just freaks them out.
Yeah.
Like they're stuck.
yeah. We always used to make a joke like you show up on a job site and the dozer's broke.
Yeah.
AC or the GPS don't work. Well, what the fuck did they do before that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grade stakes. Like,
Yeah.
get on it, boy.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yep.
You know?
Nope.
Yeah, it's the wildest thing. Those GPS dozers are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They've come a long way with that
That's
shit,
so
man.
cool.
They can grade down to a 1/10 of an inch. Like, spot on.
I just feel like, as impressive as that is, just the margin of error. Like somebody walks across that, it's no longer at that 1/10 of an inch.
Yeah.
Like
They're also
building
doing...
it can't be that precise.
Well,
I mean,
it depends on what you're building.
It is. Hey, I'm an inspector. It is.
It depends on what you're building, but they're also doing grades now with drones and stuff, where like they fly over top of it.
There's lidars.
Dan, who had the place we had my wedding party.
Yeah,
he does that for
the drone company stuff. Yeah,
like it's
Are we ever
literally
gonna fix his Jeep, or is he just gonna keep driving it around broken?
They're in the process of it.
Well, okay,
but it's the same thing. Like they'll deploy the drone essentially, and it's kind of like farmers where they just plow the field. Like they have a coordinate, and that's how they take the photos. It's crazy, and then they can see from a temperature standpoint the distance of where all the minerals and everything is in the ground, and they'll send that to the contractors, and they'll know how tall or how deep the dirt is and where they need to move it, and they can calculate it via GPS.
50 years ago, some guy had to walk around with a shovel.
I don't. Yeah,
it's crazy.
The drone stuff's out of control.
It is. It really is.
It's insane. Do you guys have like the drone delivery through Amazon stuff?
No, we all live out far enough where it doesn't work.
What's the dude local to us? It's Skyhound. He goes and finds people's deer.
Yeah.
Which they're starting to crack down on now.
That's getting real popular.
Yeah.
Like the heat sink, they're using that and lost pets for households too.
Yeah.
Deer that have been shot and they couldn't find them.
Yep.
Missing dogs, cats.
I mean, that literally takes away the entire point of hunting.
It's more so when like you actually lose it, or it's in a property you can't go to, kind of thing. Like
it's what Onyx Hunt is for. Onyx Off Road.
It's also just
like there's applications for it, but like I said, in our area, they're starting to crack down on it. Like they're finding the legalities of it and illegalities.
There's legality works both ways. It's like strategery.
So,
like the guy's trying to make a living, but they're starting to crack down on it. So it's like.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of area that we can legally fly a commercial drone.
Yeah.
And like, if you're doing it as a business, even if it's a DJI Mini, if you're getting paid to do it,
you need that Part 107.
Yeah, you have to have a Part 107. And I only know all this because of my wife, but like
she likes drones.
She works for a robotics company
okay.
that at one point was building drones, and her job was to make sure, like she's a project manager, so she had to make sure everybody who was flying the drones had the certifications and all the other paperwork stuff. So like every time Freddie's flying a drone, she's like, does he have his license? And I'm like, it's not a commercial drone. She goes, but he's posting it on YouTube and making money. And I was like, ooh, gray area.
He does. Yeah.
Gray area.
Okay, fun police.
Are you narc?
Love you. Steve, are you headed home before Hammers? You're just going to get your camper and that's it?
Pretty much, something like that. It depends on how well everything goes. Assembly starts in the morning.
We'll see how this next week goes. Yeah. It's going to be some long days.
Wait, so the camper? So you're going to have to go home, get the camper, come back, get the car?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You realize you're leaving in 10 days?
Yeah. You don't. I mean, I've been up.
Where in North Carolina are you?
I'm 4 hours and 15 minutes. I'm in Raleigh.
That's not hateful.
It's basically Virginia.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, I've become. I don't know how long. I've lost track of everything over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Except
how long have you been up here working on the car?
I don't know. I came up on Thursday.
Okay.
It's been
typically
if you're wondering,
Thursdays at noon. Typically Thursdays at noon. I'm like I've hustled and got my daytime stuff done, and I'm on the road and heading this way.
Getting up here and work on it.
I think the most fascinating thing I've learned in our journey as a podcast is everybody that's in this industry has a day job.
Yeah.
Whether the day job is in the industry or not.
Not Hadley.
Not anymore.
Well,
this is my day job.
Yeah, but up until 3 weeks, like you've been doing this for 10 years. Like it's not like you started yesterday. Yeah. You didn't just quit your job. Like I'm gonna start building buggies.
Yeah, exactly.
How much is that Bridgeport? All right, let's figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're one of the select handful of pro race drivers, and even half those guys have day jobs. They may be building buggies for somebody else, but they're still. They're not just racing every day.
Yeah. The day job conversation within it is always fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're literally like, this guy's a veterinarian, and this guy's like a heart surgeon, and then this guy like paves roads, or you know what I mean?
We found out like Jordan was a paid firefighter in Florida for like 10 years while he was building his Jeeps and storage units. It's like, Oh,
Now he's a sales rep for Steel It.
Yeah, like you just have one of the cooler Jeeps,
Sales
on the
rep for who?
internet,
Steal It.
and it's like
Team Rust-Oleum.
I can't argue with that. I like the product, but
it's the old rattle can rebuild.
yeah.
Dude, I like Steel It, and I've used them a bunch, but I hate how fast it comes out the can. I feel like you blow through a can in like 2 seconds. The Rust-Oleum
I have not sprayed
nozzle.
the new cans.
Yeah.
So the new can the price is better.
It's
What are you
expensive
talking
too.
about? Isn't it like $40
It's like
a can?
$70
It's
for a
down to
2-pack.
it's down.
$29.99 for a 18 ounce or 16 ounce can. Whatever. Yeah.
It's the price on that is negligible.
You see the new nozzle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually
it's got like
Is
a
that- is that the
5-position
wide-
nozzle.
it
is that the-
forces so it
Yeah.
has like 5 different settings.
Yeah.
And it forces you to slow down and actually paint how you're supposed to, rather than just dump it on and get runs.
See, I'll
I don't know. I'm not an auto and body man.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, there we go.
take a look at
We've seen your painting.
yeah. Yeah. He's sitting here like, Steve, your paint job sucks.
Yeah, go for it.
a little dry.
Oh yeah,
You gotta
look
get
at your
the-
different
You
positions.
gotta get the mic on it, Tom. It's the first for the Dirt Drive
Oh,
podcast.
yeah, this thing is going to be completely an overspray.
That's all right.
That's all right. It's not the worst thing that's happened to it. I do.
It's got like the settings on the
Yeah,
side. It
I
shows you.
I use the slow.
I
or
put
whatever
on
it's
number
called.
3.
Number 3. I think that's.
I just settled on number 2.
Number 2 is regular, right?
Yeah. It's a little bit narrow.
Delicious.
Yeah, you guys can smell that?
You're 9 inches away from us.
It's smell-o-vision. 9 inches. What the hell are you? who's making your measurements?
Oh, I shouldn't have brought out the can.
Oh, he's an old guy. He can't see.
Wait a minute.
There you go. Yeah,
let me
please
see what
fix
you're
that.
doing.
That skid plate's got all. You can see all the lines on it
Yeah.
from painting.
That's fine. You know how long that skid plate's going to look nice?
About 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I hope you scrape that getting it on the trailer.
You may not be going to Hammers, but your paint job is.
Hey. Now when I see this on YouTube next week, I'll be able to go, I worked on that. I built that. Yeah, we built it.
Lamb tacked one thing. He's like, yep, I did it. I was part of the build.
Yeah. Praise me for my contributions.
That does spray pretty nice. Yeah. It's, ironically
check
enough,
it out.
I was most comfortable on standard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that might just be a learning curve.
That's
Thanks for the smells, Tom.
I don't. I'm
Yeah.
weird then. I like the smell of paint.
yeah. Until you're wearing it. I think my hair was like all
Yeah.
It's
oversprayed
the
together.
best when you blow your nose 3 days from now and it comes out
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
color you were painting. I love that.
This is the first time in my life I've ever worn a respirator while
Yeah,
painting.
it's-
First time.
we did
'cause
that a
your
few
wife
weeks
said
ago, and it
something.
didn't work very well.
No. Well, it wasn't respirators. We did the
Harbor
Freight
KN95s.
N95s.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's
They really
KN.
stepped their game up.
Isn't it just N95?
No, they were the cans. Yeah.
they're the knockoff N95s.
Yeah.
That's what the K stands for. They're not 95s.
K&N's making respirators now, just so you know.
Reusable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's we should have oiled them. If we had oiled them, they probably would have worked. Yeah, I haven't played with the new Steel It stuff, but it is cheaper. Like it's affordable. Like
I don't know about
I like the
$30
finish.
rattle cans.
Yeah, I'm curious. The problem is,
I like
So
the
what's the-
finish of it. It
what's
makes
the-
it look powder coated almost.
What's the draw to steal it though?
it's
like in all
weldable.
reality?
It's fully weldable.
So
So is paint.
You got to grind paint down to weld it instead of just.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I don't know if you can see
you?
Hadley's eyes, but
What? Can't you just burn through it?
if you
I
don't
think
want it to
so.
stick,
I mean, you're not gonna.
If
I
you,
don't- do you
if
think-
you want contamination in your weld, sure.
So I know you're from North Carolina.
So
but-
steal it won't.
Correct.
Listen, I'm not a welder.
Whatever,
so-
whatever magic they got
so-
figured out.
Have you welded through it?
Yes, I have.
historically,
It's not as good as a penetrating weld as like clean metal would
Yeah.
be.
I mean, nothing is.
So if
me
this tube,
personally, like that drag truck, we painted and then steal it, and I
Yeah.
welded some stuff on it just to see what the hell it would do.
yeah,
I would still personally clean it before I
Yeah.
weld
that's
it.
what I'm saying. So if this tube
But if
cracked
you're
and
like
you're putting it,
in a race and you
Yeah.
have to get something done, like rock with it, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
that tube
We're
cracked
not
though or
racing.
whatever, and you had to weld it again, and it was already
So-
steel-itted, you could weld right to it.
If you
right?
had to.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
now if it wasn't steel it, you could just take a wire brush and clean the crack.
Correct. That's an extra step, though.
So my introduction to off-road stuff was when I lived in Colorado and desert trucks. And they had 3 trophy trucks, and those $250,000 trucks were bare metal. Every time they left the building and came back in, every body panel came off, and you sat there with WD-40 and a gray Scotch-Brite, and you scrubbed every bit of that every time it left the building and came back in. Because coating it wasn't worthwhile. Because at a race, if you need to tack something together, move something, whatever it is, powder coat, it's all in the way, and you can't see cracks as easily.
That trophy truck that I saw for sale, it was like $900,000.
$915,000.
It was steel it coated.
Yeah. Well, so that's so as steel it has become
that's
popular.
where $100,000 comes from. But
They've started using steel it in place of leaving them bare metal for that exact reason, because it's a hard enough coating that it's as strong. They say it's as strong as powder coat.
Yeah,
it's weldable, where like in an emergency, and it doesn't fill things. Like all paint fills something to some degree. Steel it apparently doesn't fill it. So like if you have a weld crack, you can see it in steel it where you might not see it in paint or powder. Well, you definitely won't see it with powder, but supposedly it's easier to find that stuff with steel it, and that's why it's become popular in the race
with the
world.
fab guys,
because you don't have to leave it bare metal and maintain that bare metal. And that's like Scotch-Brite and WD-40 on a chassis every time it leaves the building in a dry climate. Like you could not do that on the East Coast.
Yeah,
it would be rusty just sitting in your garage.
I think steel it's a West Coast thing more than East Coast.
I
think the East Coast it
has its place.
I think it will migrate here because for the same reason. Because like you can rattle can anything you want, but like if you like you said, that's going to scratch instantly. Yeah. Where the steel it won't scratch. I mean, it's a hard coating. It's a hard paint.
You sure about that?
Yeah,
I didn't think it was that hard.
It's pretty hard.
I didn't think it was.
I
thought it scraped just like paint does.
I would definitely call, if it's applied correctly, it's more durable for sure.
I don't know,
because it's like where paint, right?
Call your rep and get a can today.
My painting is done. DUN, more.
So this is my Penn College education.
Okay.
Gloss protective enamel, right? This is more than likely some sort of latex or oil-based paint, right? Which means your solid is either latex or oil. So you have a propellant, you have a solvent, whatever. The solvent carries the solids. The solvent is what dries, leaves the solid on the surface. Steel it's solid is stainless steel flake.
Okay.
So when you spray it, when it dries, it is literally leaving metal coating versus rubber or plastic.
Gotcha.
Science.
The more you know.
Steal it. Call your rep and get a can today.
Steal it sponsoring the show?
Not yet.
Not yet. If Tom keeps talking, they may.
No, that's the problem. If I keep talking, they won't have to sponsor it.
Fair.
I've already did the ad.
Jordan!
But yeah, no, there's definitely a benefit to it. Is it the end-all, be-all coatings? No. I mean, there is no end-all, be-all
anymore. I'm done painting for my entire life.
For my entire life.
I'm done.
I'm ready to put
That's it? All you did was
I'm done. Absolutely done. You know, I built it.
It's funny. Tom's little bit of painting is Tom's little bit of painting is better than all the painting you did today.
When was the last buggy I built? 2020?
Which one?
The white one.
The white one?
Wasn't that 2020?
So you always paint your
2021?
2020 or something or that. Yeah, I built a car back. I worked with another friend, built a car back then. And Russ's son, Scott, actually, and his wife, Sam, they both did. Sam's a professional TIG welder, like by trade. So they for sure, both of them.
That chassis had to look real good.
Well, we didn't TIG weld the chassis, but all the bunch of stuff got TIG welded. Anyways, but I built that buggy back then, and I'm like, I am never doing this again. And sure as shit, that buggy lasted like 9 months. I sold it. Yeah. Bought another one.
That's what he told me. He said never. He said his last one. I said, well, next time just call me and say, hey, I want this.
I'm like,
tell me when you want it. I'll get it done for you.
I'm like, that might work.
Write me a check.
Write me a check. Send the check.
The problem is now that I started looking at this.
You want to paint all
Don't
of it?
be looking at the paint.
Oh, man.
Please. Let's move to the other side.
You don't want to move to the other side either.
I was not looking at it that close, but as soon as I started painting...
Don't look at it. It's fine.
Yeah, all the flat surfaces.
It's literally going to be on
the flat surface. Oh.
It's gonna be on rocks its entire life.
The worst thing about like getting into bodywork and paintwork is you can't unsee things. I can't tell you how many times I'm driving down the road and I'm like, oh, that car was painted. My wife's like, what?
Oh,
I'm like, yeah, look,
time.
the door's a different color. And she's like, it's all white. I'm like, no. Like, you don't see that? Like right there? Like
a little bit of cream in it.
That front door is a little bit wider than the rest of the
Yeah, but
white.
you're doing this, and no normal people do this.
Remember
we were looking at
dude.
we were looking at the top panel and like the orange peel, and I was like, look, like that. So then we're both doing this.
Yeah. It's the body. It's the body man's
breathing.
Like dents and stuff like that. The young kid that works at the shop with us, we had a hailstorm blow through a couple months ago, and his Tacoma's got 10,000 miles on it. It's like a brand new truck. And he was panicking, and I'm like, it's not that bad. And I'm like looking at the roof. I'm like, you got a dent here, dent here, dent here, and a dent here, and a dent here. You're fucking with me, right? I'm like, no, there's like 7 dents on your roof. Like that can all be fixed. He goes, I only saw 2. So then he gets his phone out, and now he's like, oh my God, I see them all. I'm like, oh yeah, because it's a silver truck. It's kind of like, but like I can see him just, it's bad. Yeah. Like there's a run there. From where I'm sitting, I see 3 different runs. There's some solvent pop there.
Fine.
It's dry over there. You missed a spot up on that.
Hey,
I don't know, that headlight bucket where the shock
I'm
mount
gonna paint it right when you leave. That's
Yeah,
it's getting a motor stabbed in the morning.
You're lucky we're sitting here talking. I'd like to be putting the motor in right now.
Yeah. We'll sit here and talk. You can put the motor in. We'll do commentary. That would be fun.
No, that would be even way worse. It's way worse than you critiquing my paintwork.
Lamb and Angel sitting on the sidelines. Holy shit.
We were cleaning around, literally cleaning circles around them today.
That could be a fun. What are you guys doing tomorrow? You're working on this tomorrow, right? Call Angel. We'll leave the mics here. We'll come back tomorrow, and we'll set up like a commentary booth, and we'll just have Lamb Chop and Angel.
Oh my God!
And we'll just do a whole nother episode where you guys finish the buggy. We'll sit in the
make
corner.
It on air.
I needed today more than I knew I did because I've been in here for like a month straight working on this thing. But it's like usually like Angel and Lamb, and then I'll call my buddy Creech to come over. I was like, I just need to laugh today. These dudes
they
just
did not disappoint.
Yeah,
they did not disappoint.
Yeah, it's always good.
It's been a while since we've had like a gun fun shop day like that.
Yeah,
it's been way too long. Is really what it is.
I had a great time when I brought the Lexus to the shop the other day. That was fun.
That was fun. I'll give you that.
Minus all the green wieners.
Yeah, the green wieners are great. I love that.
They're everywhere,
dude. There's shit all over the place.
All right. Well, Tom, how long have we been going?
I don't know, but there's a big ass run right there.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
It's like all the way across.
I know.
It's okay.
Listen,
nobody's gonna see it.
Hey, you ready?
PJ, before you walk quiet,
I'm not a painter.
We've been going more than long enough.
Okay. All right. Well, PJ just ran away. Oh, he's coming back.
Uh-oh.
Green weenie. Where can people find you at?
Culpeper Customs LLC on Facebook, Culpeper Customs on Instagram, and then culpepercustoms.com. And I think that's about it.
Cool. Yeah. Steve?
Rock Lab Industries everywhere.
Rock Lab Industries everywhere.
RockLabIndustries.com.
It's R-O-K, right?
Yeah,
R-O-K.
there is no C. R-O-K, L-A-B.
Labs.
Yep. They are doing some really cool shit.
Yeah.
I don't know you very well, but I'm proud of shit that I can call you a friend now, and you're running your own business doing doing badass shit like this because it's fucking badass. Congratulations on quitting your day job and starting because that's
big step.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the camper, I guess. I don't. Congratulations on the new buggy, on the portal. The portals are cool.
I'll say this: that
they are beautiful.
Working with Hadley on this project has been very self-gratifying for the fact that him going above and beyond, him starting his business, us working together, collaborating, talking, becoming better friends. We've been friends for 10 years or whatever, anyways, and all this has been like next level.
Yeah,
huge.
I'm excited to see everything that comes out of y'all's relationship. The portals, when the portals hit the market, that'll be cool to have an affordable range portal that's badass and huge.
I hope you guys get to Hammers on time because.
We'll be there.
I'm hoping you guys can get it into some X-Rock stuff, and hopefully they'll stream it.
If we don't make it, it's going to be something out of our control.
It's gonna be balled up on the side of the road. Is what's gonna happen.
Well, don't say that.
It might get a tune on the way. We might have to stop in Arizona and get a tune or something.
Yeah,
like
you
that,
wouldn't be the first person to finish it on the trailer.
Yeah,
it's a long drive, so
I could lock up Hadley in the trailer on the way out there. Let's go back here and work for a while.
Figure it out. The generator on the roof.
Yeah.
Get the old 110 MIG out and just finish her up on the trailer.
No, we got a generator on the RV. You'll just
you're good.
run a cord there. You'll be fine.
It'll be together. It'll just be something out of our control if we can make it. But.
Well, cool guys. I appreciate you opening up your space for us and showing us your shop and everything.
Taking some time, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming down and checking it out.
Hell yeah, we'll definitely be back. This is
to keep following
cool fucking place.
Yeah.
So, you guys know where to find us everywhere social at the Dirt Drive, Dirt Nerds Offroad, and Dirt Nerds Motors. Dirt Nerds Offroad on YouTube. There's a video coming out Friday, or one came out last Friday. Don't know when it is. Don't know what it is, but it's coming out. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll frickin' see you next week.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.